Yeah. Hear anything?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the original Next Level Gaming Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Mullis, a.k.a. Stinger NLG. Sorry for the lack of audio on the intro this week. For some reason, right in the middle of just getting this thing started, the audio through the videos do not work, and so it's just technical difficulties this week and the bane of my day. So, I have with me a wonderful group of guys and lady, and we're going to be joined in a little while by our very good friend from Short Pause Gaming, Frankie Allor. So I'm going to run down the list, starting with, of course, ladies first, my boo, Mamacita from the Classy Gamer Gals channel. What is going on, my lady?
Hey everybody, Mamacita, just trying to keep it classy.
And you always bring class to my podcast. All right, and then the two hosts of the Basement Radio Arcade Podcast. We have Enrique Castallanos. What's up, brother?
Hey, what's going on, guys? I am doing well. Had a baby this week, so baby and mom are doing very well.
Excellent.
And,
Congratulations, man.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and just happy to be back on a podcast, man. I had such an itch to podcast this week. It was crazy.
I
missed
know,
it.
man. He kept messaging me. You need another guest tonight?
Yeah, I needed a fix bad.
You are always welcome on. You know that.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it, man.
You are, as I've said before, because you came from NLG. You are you are emeritus. You are open invite. Speaking of open invites and stuff, it's finally a pleasure to get him on our podcast. I believe this is our first time together on NLG. The great Eric Jackson of the Basement Radio Arcade Podcast and EXL Gaming. What's up, man?
What's going on, man? Actually, it's my second time.
Is it? Were you on here? No. I think I was on Basement Radio. When were you?
Yeah, you were. No, you were, but I was on here once. Yeah.
Were you?
Remember we played
I think you're right, man.
Division after that.
Oh, right. Okay, now I remember.
Yeah.
So, well, like I said, we're gonna have Frankie Allor join us as soon as he gets home from work. I know he usually speeds home when he knows he's coming on. So, it's a pleasure. I know. One of these days, and then he's in the chat room typing away as he as he's driving on the road. So I always feel bad for him. So guys, once again, I'm coming to find out that going solo on this podcast does not actually keep me from having a plethora of guests and people that join me. So I love having you guys on. It's great.
I like the rotation, Mike.
I do too.
I
kind of
get different perspectives.
Different voices, different perspectives. Yeah. There's some guys that unfortunately have left the community that I wish would come on. I've been trying. I don't know. He doesn't listen, so I can name drop him. I've been trying to get Worry to come back on for weeks now, and unfortunately, he's just not his thing anymore. So, Worry Ward, if you ever listen to this, Enrique and I especially, we miss you, man. We need to
put him on a milk carton.
We really do. We need to get him. We need to get him on here and
Mama, you need to reach out to him.
Yeah,
you know what?
That voice of reason back.
You know what? A lady's touch might be what's in order here.
This is true.
Maybe that may work. Maybe.
So,
I might be able to pull out one of my magic potions.
Mike, can I point out one thing?
Yes, sir.
One downvote, and I'm like, we haven't even said anything yet.
Yeah, how do we get a downvote already? How does that happen? I'd like to know who gave us a downvote and why they gave us a downvote.
You know what? In a couple of days, I can look at the metrics.
I mean, that's crazy. We haven't talked about
We haven't even opened our mouth yet. Maybe they're mad because we got a late start. I don't know.
Yeah, that could be it.
Yeah, that's
Late.
what it is.
Yeah.
Maybe someone's angry that I keep having good guests on my show. I don't know.
Yeah, and by the way, Mike, I'm going to try not to cuss tonight.
Yeah, let's try to keep this one back to. We got to get you retrained now that you have a baby in the house. We got to get it. We got to get you retrained and kind of not corrupt that child with bad language.
Let me tell you something, man. That's probably not going to happen. I curse in different languages, man.
Oh, darn it.
Oh, man.
I curse in Spanish all the time, man.
And so already we have some great people in the chat room. Happy Friday and happy extended weekend to Peter and Slap and Beast. And, of course, we're in there, but who else is in there? Oh, so here he is. Frankie's in there. Can't wait to wolf down chicken nuggets on the show. And Brent, the dude 79, the from Short Pause Gaming as well, who I'm telling you, I'm having a great time gaming with those guys. I've got to get you guys to get on and game with them too. We had a hell of a night. Enrique, did you see that Halo video yet?
I have not seen it yet, no.
Oh man,
Check that out, man.
If nothing else, the first 5 minutes are hysterical. Because the backstory is, if nobody's seen that video yet, so Halo 5 added an infection mode. I think it's called infection. I've at one time called it infected, but it's called infection mode. And basically, what happens is, two people start out as infected guys with see, I'm losing my mind tonight. Who are the? Give me the grunt, not the grunts, but the. Give me names of Halo bad guys.
Jeez.
Oh.
Why am I drawing a blank here?
Shoot.
Dang, we all feel
Anyone?
Yes.
Sorry.
Covenant.
Dang.
Covenant.
The Brutes?
Yeah,
You got
thank you.
brutes and
I think they're brutes. You start off as two brutes with energy swords, and you're infected. And the idea is you have to run around, and you are not allowed an actual weapon. You have to use the melee sword. Everybody else has their standard guns. So you have to run around, and you have to hit and kill one of the other people that aren't infected, and they become infected. It basically becomes Walking Dead for Halo. Well,
yeah, we used to play that back in the days on in Halo 2. We called it Zombies, but at the time you wouldn't change in anything. You would just join the other team, basically.
Gotcha. Well, so basically we were us. So myself and HTK60 360, Peter, who's in the chat room.
HTK, a good dude, by the way.
He is a really great guy, and I beat him to the chat room tonight. He's usually the first one in there, and I beat him in tonight. So we were all playing, and Frankie was playing, and Brent was playing. Somehow we got into a room. We backed out of the room so that we could all get into the same game together. And Frankie and I were ban-hammered for 10 minutes, which made no sense.
What?
So I know. So the first 5 minutes of the video are us trying to figure out how we were ban-hammered and the wait that it took to get into the game. And I cut it and edited with a little bit of SpongeBob SquarePants. So you gotta just, you don't even have to watch the whole video. Although watching the whole video, the dude and I trash talk massively as he was basically hiding from me the whole map and taunting me. But that's okay. That's all right, Brent. That's all right.
Nice.
But anyway, but it was a great time with them. It's always a great time playing with them. And I got to get you guys in to play with them as well. And as a fun mode, I'm not much of a Halo guy as far as multiplayer goes. I love the campaigns. Warzone didn't really do much for me. I'm not a big competitive first-person shooter. Infection was really good. It was really good. So. I wanted to, anyway, shouts out to those guys. And actually, Brent says, picked up Overwatch on Xbox One. Mike, I am at the ready. So we're going to get some of that done this weekend, too. Absolutely.
I need to pick up Overwatch. I got to get that.
He said, I object. Check the tape. All right. So, anyway. It looks like the chat room's filling up nicely. And I'm ready to talk some good stuff. So, let's start with some of the PlayStation news out there while we're waiting on Frankie to jump in, because I know he wants to talk new consoles. And actually, Brent asked the question in the chat room that I'm definitely gonna give to you guys. But so leading up to all of this new hardware supposedly that's coming.
Oh, it's coming.
Well, yes, but everybody seems to think it's coming at E3.
It's coming at E3.
Winter is coming.
Winter's coming. It's true. This is like Game of Thrones.
Coming.
Well, Mike, I mean, the CEO of GameStop basically said that there's going to be new hardware announcements at this year's E3.
Yeah. So now the CEO of GameStop is a certified insider.
Yeah.
He's got the inside.
Yeah, he said followed by, please come in, trade in all your stuff, get $30 towards your new,
We'll give you $15 for your trade-in.
Right.
Oh, wait, I better not say that because Frankie's coming in.
Apparently, that's just a weekend thing for him. All right. So anyway, so before all of this stuff hits, Sony has announced that they have hit the 40 million plateau for PS4 sales.
It's a lot of consoles.
That's a lot of consoles in a very short amount of time, which is why it's one of the reasons that I wonder about why we're announcing new hardware so early. But that's been a whole separate situation, a whole separate conversation to have. So I want to get your thoughts, guys, on this and where Sony is and where are they going, and let me throw and I'll throw a wrench in afterwards, because there was something else that I caught this week that was kind of an interesting developer, one of these anonymous developers, of course, who explained why they think there's new PS4 hardware coming. But let me get your take on where things are with Sony and where they're going. So, ladies first.
Well, I think Sony pretty much has to release updated hardware if VR is going to be a thing. And I understand it. Some of the games are pretty much, they're struggling. They don't look up to par, especially when you compare it to Oculus and HTC Vives. It's kind of the I don't know how to say it, but it just doesn't look to par. So I think they almost have to present new hardware so that VR can run, not just run smoothly, graphically, and all the bells and whistles that they need. So I get that. I get it, and I also understand that we are in a different time now with gaming. It's constantly changing, technology, and I think the days of this 5-year, 7-year cycle it's just over. I do, and I even wonder if the PS4 Neo or this Xbox Scorpio, whatever, if that's even going to be pretty much the last console hardware, even still, because things are just constantly changing. But as far as your point with Sony, yeah, they have to present new hardware. With VR, they're banking on that, and they've invested so much into it. I don't think that they want a subpar experience on current hardware.
True. But look at where they're at now. And this is what part of this is the extreme. Well, I wanted to kind of get you guys' take on the heavy success that Sony's having right now, because they are at the 40 million mark within 3 years. We're not at 3. We're not even 3 years is going to be November.
November, yeah.
So we're not even 3 years in, and they're at 40 million, and they expect to ship 60 million consoles by the end of the year. What's fueling that much of a level of success? Obviously we expected it to be a great seller, but good grief.
I think it's perception, Mike. They have the luxury of having this a perception coming out of 2013, and coming in at a lower price point. I mean, let's not forget that they came in $100 cheaper than the Xbox One at launch, and then we could talk about the launch issues that the Xbox One had, the muddled messaging. They were kind of in the driver's seat from the get-go. They haven't looked back, and it's amazing because they haven't had a lot of big AAA exclusives. We just got Uncharted 4, but they've been relying really on more third-party deals and market deals, like the Call of Duty, the Black Ops bundle, the Black Ops 3 bundle. I mean, that was what, like 20% of, I forget what it was. Was it 80% of their console sales? I don't remember what the number was.
The Black Ops bundle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it 80? I thought they said like 40, 60 or something in between there.
It was a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot.
It was a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot. So,
consoles ugly.
Yeah,
by the way,
it's crazy.
By the way, I just have to say, Enrique.
Yes.
I just have to say that you on the camera tonight.
Yeah.
Reminds me of John B. from Pee Wee Herman's Playhouse.
So wrong.
That's Mike's getting me back to last week when we were giving him a hard time about his age.
If you at some point in the podcast say Mecha Lecca High, I'm just going to lose it.
Yeah,
Lecca High Ho.
Southbound said I looked like a Sith Lord one time.
Sith Lord.
Yeah, but no, they've had the benefit of perception, and I think one thing that I guess an observation from this console generation is you only have one time to make a good impression with gamers, with the core audience, and they did that, and they've benefited from, just like Microsoft did last console generation. They benefited from Microsoft kind of fumbling the ball a little bit, and they just haven't looked back. And I think it's just perception. I don't know how much of it's a power thing. Maybe that's part of it, but I think a lot of it's too is they sold so many consoles now that people are people's friends. People want to game with their friends, so they're going out and buying PlayStation 4s. They've had some really good marketing deals with third-party developers. They had Destiny. They locked the Destiny bundle down. Now Call of Duty, and
Star Wars Battlefront.
And then for a while, they had an attractive price point. They were $3.99. They were $100 cheaper.
I think that's the biggest thing on there. You can't downplay that part, because that was a big advantage that Microsoft had last generation, along with having the year lead. Their price point, even with that year lead, Sony still came in with that super high price point, so that just gave them more ground to cover. Then you add in the fact that by that time, that install base, people are going to go where their friends are.
Well, that's true, because at some point Microsoft went way under the PS4 price and still couldn't recover.
No.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, but the question is why would Sony release new hardware?
Well, no, I was
getting
that wasn't quite it. I mean, I want to get to that question. I do want to get to that question. My first part of that question was how did we get to 40 million? I mean, that's a big number in a short time. How did Sony get to that point here? And then I want to build that into the new hardware, because I still believe to this day that we're a year too early to do this. I still hold on to that, and I know like John has argued that with me. I know Tony Polanco's argued that with me. I know if there are people who are ready for it. But no, I kind of wanted to start with how they got to this point, and how they what's causing them to be this. I mean, even this success has even taken them by surprise. I mean, they have said it a couple of times that we don't even know why we're doing so well.
I think also the benefit is the height of popularity with gaming, because a lot of when the last generation started, gaming was popular, but it still hadn't hit that mainstream stride that it's hit now. So I think that's a big part of it also.
Yeah. How much of this too? I've sort of said at the beginning that I thought a lot of the heavy ramp up was look, the PS3 was not their greatest console,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
and I think a lot of the hardcore gamers couldn't wait to jump, but they weren't going to jump to the Xbox One.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to jump to another Sony console, and when the PS4 was announced, it was so powerful and had that price difference and came on stage at E3 and got everybody worked up.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of PS3 folks who were just chomping at the bit to move did, and I think that's why we're seeing it so fast.
Yeah. But Mike, I also think that you had a lot of 360 owners jump from the 360 to the PlayStation 4 too. I've had some conversations recently with some folks on Twitter that were 360 owners last console generation, and they made the switch. A lot of it had to do with what happened in 2013.
I can see that. I mean, I'm starting to see it too. I was wondering what, and this is where I'd love to have Worry on the show, because he's kind of brought I at one point said, look, there's going to be some benchmarks to see where Microsoft is with the install base, and one of them was, of course, backward compatibility. I said, look, backward compatibility could be a big boon for those 360 owners. Well, it's not bearing out, and that's something that's. I mean, I love having it myself. The backward compatibility has been fantastic, and I mean, look at Call of Duty Black Ops, which is getting more play right now. It's like somebody had pointed out it was the 6th most popular game on Xbox Live right now.
That's crazy.
That's insane, man.
At the height of its popularity after it released on backward compatibility, there were 100,000 plus people playing.
Yeah. Hey, Mike. By the way, B Money in the chat said that people went where their friends went.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and so this is interesting too, because I'm starting to find myself a bit torn. I've got people to play Division with, but games like Doom, like if I want to play with John, and if I want to play with those guys on that side, for some games, if I want to play with Frankie and Brent, I got to go PS4 side, because that's where I've got I now have 2 complete sets of friends.
That's so true, Mike. Oh man, that's a real issue now.
Yeah.
The dilemma I have with Overwatch, it's like, do I get the Xbox One version, or do I get the PlayStation 4
well,
version?
To be fair, I wouldn't have gotten it at all if I didn't win it. I mean, I for anybody who does not believe that Jeff Bartram, Doc Cupcake 84, if you don't believe that he actually legitimately does giveaways, I am proof of that. I won Forza from him, and I won Overwatch from him, so he's for real.
Yeah, Doc's out there doing the Lord's work.
He is.
Oh my
Great
God,
guy.
he is.
Stand-up guy.
Another one who has an open invitation. He's just very busy these days, so I'm trying to work on him. But I'm at that point where I've got to choose, and I've got Frankie that's he's like trying to tempt me into buying Battleborn for some god awful reason, but he wants
it's cheap right now.
Right, but
should have made Borderlands 3.
I know.
Another discussion.
Oh man, we talked about that we talked about that.
I knew it was gonna happen. I kind of realized it was gonna happen to them. I was like, they're gonna get their lunch eaten.
And I told Frankie, I said, if I wait long enough, that game will be $5.
Pretty much.
It's already like $30 now or something, right?
Yeah. Give it 2 weeks.
But Brent, right in the chat room, I mean, he said, "Hey, I bought Overwatch on Xbox One. I'm ready for you." He had it on PS4. He actually had to get it on the console to play with me. I mean, nice. But right, it's nice to have a disposable income.
I know, right?
But I mean, this has become a real thing. And it's even starting to affect my decision-making process on what I have to buy if I want to play, with certain gamers.
Yeah.
And so, this is Sony has very much forced that that dynamic with what they, and you know what, force is even the wrong word. They haven't forced it. It's come naturally by what they have done. And Peter in the chat room makes a good point. Cross-platform will solve this issue, but that's when it comes. and that's if developers jump
Yeah.
on board of that. You know, it's you know, Rocket League, of course, now is cross-platform with PC
Mhm.
and Xbox One, as well as PC and PS4. But when do you actually think that would ever be cross-platform between the Xbox and the PS4? I think there's just too many. I think there's too much politics involved in that.
Oh yeah, there's definitely too many politics, too much politics involved in that.
Oh.
I don't see that happening ever.
Yeah, get in here, Mama.
Oh, I'm here.
No, I'm saying, you know, jump in.
Mama's sipping right now.
Yeah, she's sipping. She's partying. Just like I'm just here to look good.
Oh, yeah, right.
So, but yeah, I mean, you know, get in here on this with us. We're, you know, do you find that's what's jumping them up so fast so far?
I don't know. I think it goes back to, you know, the mishaps that Microsoft made, of course. I think and I think the narrative on Xbox One is just so negative. It was, you know, when I would go out and, you know, when I was originally going out, you know, to purchase my systems, I was told, you know, the Xbox One is less powerful. What you can't do this, you can't do that, and I just think, you know, you can't play your games. Even when they went back and redid everything and said you could play or use games on the system. I mean, even to this day, you know, people still think that. So I just think there's so much negativity behind the Xbox One that PS4 just can't help but just be successful when you make the mishaps that Microsoft made with it. You know, with that said, that doesn't take anything away from the system and the deals that they have, third-party deals. I mean, we're in a generation where everybody is about third-party now. They aren't about first-party games. They just aren't.
Well,
not like they used to be.
Not like they used to be, but that's a good segue into the next thing I wanted to bring up. You would see that and you would think that, but then you have Uncharted 4, which has come out of the gate with 2.7 million sales, and that's digital and physical. And so
I didn't think that was super great. I know I saw it. I just didn't. A few of us just kind of, I felt like with 40 million consoles out there, I just don't think 2.7 is super great. I'm not saying it's bad. I think it's good. But that's not, in my opinion, that's just not, oh my gosh, 2.7 million. When you think about that, that's less than 5%, 3.5% of the consoles that's out there, the people that purchase that game. I just don't think, and even not just Sony's first-party games, but Microsoft's, from Quantum Break to Rise of the Tomb Raider. I just think the first-party games are just not, I don't think that they're selling and they are as appealing in this generation as they were last generation. I think everybody's all about third party, and that's just kind of seems where everybody's at.
Yeah, I think the third party thing is a part of it, but I think more than anything, especially now in the generations that we're in, we're saturated. You know, probably even oversaturated with titles to play and like all kinds of forms of entertainment. You know, day in, day out. So I think that actually cuts into it a bit also, as opposed to, you know, maybe beginning or middle of last generation, where those first parties lured people in, more people jumped on and supported because, you know, there weren't probably as many titles that hit the way they do now. I mean, now you're being bombarded like week to week, you know, on things to play. And then some people are just true to what they want to play. You know, they buy a couple games a year. You know, they may pick it up later down the road, you know, whatever that first party may be. Some people just wait on sales. Some people nowadays wait for games with gold and PlayStation's free games.
Yeah,
that's a legitimate thing too, man.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
I think the core gamers too are I'm not saying aging out, but you know, when I'm in the GameStops and I hear people say, you know, yeah, Halo was my game when I was in college. I just don't have the time to play it now. And people wonder why Halo 5 they didn't announce the numbers, or they say, we know the $400 million, sales number that was generated in revenue, but we don't really know. I don't know how many units were actually sold. But if there's a decrease in the hours of activity of that game, well, the guys and girls now, the folk are older, people have families, and people just don't have the time.
I'm right. I'm like living proof of that.
And people, some people don't want to sit down and play a game for 10, 12, 15, 20 hours. They want to just pick up, play a few hours, and that's it. So I just think.
It's funny because to me, this generation also is seeing the death of many first single-player games. Everything's got to be first-person shooter.
Always online.
Always online. It's one of those. I want to address Halo for a second because that was a big thing. See, this is what I don't like about what happens when this stuff gets announced. Because immediately the argument was, Halo 5 versus Uncharted 4, which is kind of like comparing sales of my Dodge Grand Caravan to a Corvette. It doesn't, in the context that they're two of the flagship titles for the respective consoles. I get that. Here's my issue. This was used to beat down, of course, Halo sales, which is a bunch of crap. And one of my good friends online who basically afterwards told me, I just did it because it was a good headline. I mean, his headline for his video was...
Oh, it was clickbait, man.
Yeah, Uncharted 4 destroys Halo 5 sales. And here's the thing on Halo 5. Number one, $400 million is nothing to sneeze at. And I don't care if some of that is rec pack. None of it's rec pack. Basically, it was... And Frank O'Connor, I want to get this clarified. Frank O'Connor said it himself after people started saying, well, that included controllers and accessories and posters you put on your wall. He said no. Right, he's right, Happy Meal. He said no. He said it was console sales and software sales. So it doesn't, that month, Microsoft sold about 500,000 Xbox Ones. Not every one of those, of course, is a Halo 5 bundle. Not every one of them. I figured, and I was just kind of guessing at it because, of course, they didn't give us numbers. I got that. That they sold somewhere between worldwide 2.5 to 3 million copies of the game. If you count what they sold in the bundles plus what they sold in software, and then you kind of give way for the $250 collector's edition, which I'm thinking 5 people bought. Somewhere in that neighborhood, the people who said $400 million equals 6.6 million copies of the game, they were not correct either. But the people who think that 2.7 million Uncharted sales ran over Halo 5 sales, that's not realistic either. My guess is that both of these games did for their respective companies what they wanted them to do. Uncharted 4's 2.7 million sales, let's keep in mind, were just for a week. I'm imagining by the time the end of the month sales come in that they're going to hit a pretty high number for their first month. I think, this is their premier title.
Yeah.
It should.
Mike, couple things real quick. 2.7 is a lot. That's in a week. That's approaching multi-plat AAA status.
Yeah,
I know Mama said 40 million installed base doesn't seem like a lot, but it's still a lot. It really is.
I didn't say it wasn't a lot. I'm just saying I didn't say that. I just said it was just not super great to me. That's what I'm saying. It's good.
Well, it's not like 5 million, but most games don't sell 5 million in a week. 2.7. Relatively speaking,
unless
is
you're
a lot.
A Ubisoft game.
Yeah, unless you're Ubisoft. Remember, the 40 million install base. That's assuming that, that it's all core gamers and not casual gamers. A lot of casual gamers aren't buying games like Uncharted. They're buying Black Ops and they're buying the more AAA stuff, third-party multiplats. But
GTA 5.
yeah, or like GTA 5.
Right.
65 million.
5 million.
Yeah.
That's insane, man.
But it's crazy, man. It was when the Uncharted numbers came out, it was like, well, I had to hop off Twitter because it was like both sides going back and forth. It was like, oh well, Halo did 400 million and Uncharted 4 didn't do that, and I was just like, okay, why are we comparing these numbers? Like, why are we doing this? Let's both games are successful. Let's just leave it at that, and be happy for.
Somebody has to win and somebody has to take an L, and that's the culture in which we are in now. Somebody has to win and somebody has to lose.
Well, the thing is, there's no winners and losers. There's just winners here. I mean, the industry wins, and that's the thing that people forget. And I don't think it's ever. I think that it's a group of people that think like that. But I think, and some of the people that I've been talking to more recently, like they get it. They get it that, hey, and this is for people that I've had conversations with that maybe don't own a PS4. They're happy for Uncharted 4 and vice versa because they get it. They get that if a game like this does well, it's a win-win for the industry. It's going to encourage other first-party studios to want to make games like this, to want to make games that are going to, inspire gamers to pick a game up or inspire developers to make a game that maybe isn't like an Uncharted, but has a focus on character and story and stuff like that. So that's the part that I think people tend to lose sight on. That it's at the end of the day, it's a win for the industry.
Yeah, and going back to Halo, the other point I wanted to make was, if you look at the amount of new content that is coming into that game from 343i, and a lot of it's free. If you look at the content that they're throwing at that game, left and right, I'm quite sure that they're very happy with the amount of money that they've made to put that much. They must know that that their engagement on that game is that high, because if you notice, where's the next Forza Horizon 2 expansion after Storm Island? I've been waiting for content for that forever. Where's new tracks for Forza 6? Okay, hold on. Let me back up, because according to Crazy Juan, who's been doing a fantastic job making us some great NASCAR Forza 6 videos, which you could check out on the channel. They did add a track with the NASCAR expansion, so I am incorrect about that. But they're not bringing, like, they're bringing some cars here and there, but where are the big expansions that are coming for all these other first-party games? They're not there. But if you look at Halo, they are building the crap out of Halo. They're putting Halo Forge on PC so that the community can build Forge levels on PC and then bring them over to the Xbox. I mean, they're doing some serious work to the Halo franchise. So I think that regardless
they're doing it right,
well, they are.
They are.
But my point is they're happy enough with what they're making out of Halo and and how many people have bought Halo, that they're not just dropping it and going to the next game. And I think that speaks volumes for that. So, that's...
If you're a multiplayer heavy person, because campaign-wise, I mean, unless you're going to play with your friends.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. You're not going to get any more story DLC. But you're going to get... So now take a look at Uncharted. You're going to get story DLC for the first time in that series.
Right.
You can't tell me that Sony's not happy with what they're pulling out of it. And that's just going to... What's going to be interesting is how many PlayStations that continues to sell. That franchise is what sold mine. So how many PS4s are they going to get out of that?
Yeah, and what I hope is like what like Mama was saying a minute ago, or I think Enrique was saying actually, with that game selling like that, now you're hoping maybe Sony might want to dig in and pull out some of their other franchises that fans have been asking for, that have been kind of laying dormant.
Yeah.
So hopefully there's a good chance of that. But, you know, more than anything, I agree with what Mama said. You know, for what the install base is, you know, you kind of expect these numbers to be higher, but we do live in a different time. But I think the thing that we need to get past as gamers is using these things as ammo for this fake console war, whatever you want to have, because if the number of people that were out there on Twitter and YouTube or whatever who are screaming, oh, we have all these exclusives coming, if every one of those people and beyond support it, those numbers will be better. But they're only used for, you know,
list wars.
ammo.
Right,
Yeah.
and I think when people hear me say that, people are so stuck into this fanboy mindset that that's not even where I am. I say that based on gamers, where gamers are, gamers not buying the games because
put your money where your mouth is.
they're shifting and moving away from what I feel like the hardcore gamer experience. They're just being replaced, whether you call them casuals or whatever you want to call them, but it's just we're just being replaced, and I just don't think that the generation coming up behind myself are just into console gaming, and that's more so the point I'm making. It's not a Sony versus Microsoft and whose first party game is going to outsell and do well. That's why I said I feel like the game should have sold more. I would have expected it with 40 million consoles out there. That's the point I'm making.
Oh, I'm wondering how much legs it has, and that's going to be, I think, a good indicator of the overall, you know, sales. Because you're right. I mean, you do make a great point, Mama, in that you know everybody wants the latest, greatest third
It's
party.
the same thing with Sunset Overdrive on Microsoft side. Sunset Overdrive, Rise of the Tomb Raider. I mean, that's the same thing. I mean, we ask for new game experiences. We want new content, but then when we get them, we don't buy them. And the core buys them, but is the core enough? That's just kind of what I'm saying. It just,
yeah. You know, it's a great point, Mama City. What's funny is that Super Deformed Gamecast had Marcel, I don't remember his last name, from CryEngine on last night, and he said that. He said, you know, gamers always want new IPs, but when we announce a new IP, they're like, well, where's the sequel to Crysis?
Right.
And it's
how many people are asking for Alan Wake 2 when they were getting Quantum Break?
Exactly. And he even said, he goes, gamers don't know what they want.
and let me tell you, I am sad for Remedy because they deserved better than what they got.
But Alan Wake didn't sell well though when it launched.
No, it didn't. But it's like beloved by the it's what the
That's a great game.
Right, but you just finished Quantum Break, right, Enrique?
Yes.
And I'm going back to it since I'm going to have this backlog now that I'm done. You know, I'm going to play Overwatch, of course.
Finally finished it, Eric.
Yeah.
And it was what was your take on the game as a whole?
I liked it, and I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't played it or finished it. I wasn't exactly thrilled with the final boss battle.
Yeah, same here.
But I definitely would like to see a sequel.
Same here.
Oh, come on, Frankie, get in here. He's waiting until we finish. Get in here.
He's eating his nuggets right now, man.
Good grief.
Yeah, and
He's
actually,
like,
B-Money.
Is the sales talk over yet? Come on, just get in here so we can move on.
B-Money just pointed out in the
waiting
chat.
on you.
B-Money just pointed out in the chat, he said, you know, he's like, I told y'all QB would sell slowly, and I think it's the same thing that happened with Alan Wake. You know, Alan Wake didn't get those legs until late, and then more people found it, and it became more of a thing where people were like, well, we want an Alan Wake 2, but initially, no one was talking about it.
Is Quantum Break, is it working on PC now? They had some issues.
I have no idea.
I hear it's working a little better. Frankie!
Frankie!
He's in the chat room. He's in the chat room going, are they done talking about sales yet?
I was waiting. Quantum Break is a good jumping point.
It is a good jumping point. Hey, wait a minute. Let me see. Hold on. Let me see your shirt.
Is that a Doom t-shirt? I love it.
Doom shirt.
Love it.
Doom shirt? Love it, man.
Nice.
Enrique, I completely agree with you, by the way. Exactly. That's my only complaint about Quantum Break.
Yeah. No, it was. It was a little bit of a letdown for me.
Yeah.
With kind of the build up and the use of powers and stuff. I was kind of like, that's it?
Yeah. Infamous
Yeah.
Second Son did the same thing, and it just, I don't know.
Yeah, it really did. When you think about it, yeah, it did. And I know people were comparing Quantum Break to like The Order, which I didn't understand that at all.
No.
I said Quantum Break felt more like Infamous, but with guns. Like, I know like there are guys in Infamous who have guns, but it was like, yeah, it's kind of how it came off to me, like with the powers and everything.
Mike, Slap Happy said, I agree, Enrique. I beat the final boss on first try, and that never happens for me.
No. How many of you guys have finished Uncharted? Because I finished Uncharted 4.
Yeah, I finished it.
I finished it, yeah.
All right, so what do you think?
I haven't finished. I haven't even started it because I've got to complete Uncharted 3.
Oh, maybe.
I can't. All right,
Yeah,
so
maybe
all
we
I'm
should
going
talk
to say.
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm only going to ask this for you guys that finished it.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think about that last boss?
See, I don't want to say anything because Mama hasn't beat it.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, all right.
Well, you can say whether
but-
you like it or not. You don't have to.
Yeah,
tell me,
don't give away what it
You have to
is.
give
Don't
it-
give
Okay,
away what. Just
I liked it better than, you know,
It was
what
better
we're
than-
talking about with the Quantum Break boss. But that's my only comparison with that. I don't compare those two games to each other, you know.
no,
But,
they're two different games. They're
Yeah, two different games. Two different games.
As final bosses go, let's put it that way. Not compared to the final boss of Quantum
Right.
Break. As final bosses go.
Mm-hmm.
I said I was in between on it, but how else do you end it? What else do you do with that kind of game to have like a final boss ending, you know? So it wasn't bad. It wasn't thrilling. I mean, I wasn't put over the moon by it, but I think it kind of tied off kind of the whole experience of Uncharted. But I will say, as a bad guy, as a boss, as a nemesis, you know, Rafe was really interesting as a character.
I liked him.
Yeah.
I did too.
He was kind of a slime ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and he wasn't over the top. He wasn't like this. He wasn't like this cliche like
Right.
boss. Like
No, he really wasn't.
Yeah, he was perfect
hmm
in a lot of ways.
All I'll say without spoiling it is I thought that last boss fight was very unique.
Unique's a good word.
Unique's a good word, Mike.
It was different than anything that you might expect.
hmm
Yes.
So, and yeah, I'll leave it at that because I definitely don't want. So Mamacita, do yourself a favor. Do not watch any of the videos on the channel. All right, because
No, I haven't watched
good.
it.
Do not watch them because they are complete spoiler walkthroughs. So I do not want you to ruin your
And
experience.
by the way, I'm very, I don't want to spoil it for Mama because I spoiled Gears of War for her. And I still feel terrible about that, Mama.
Don't. I'm over it. It's okay.
I felt so bad when that happened. I was like, oh my gosh.
All right. So, hey Frankie, did you get Overwatch? Because Brent did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm ready. I'm ready to. How about if you guys are up for it?
Oh, that Overwatch. Not yet.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, okay.
That Overwatch.
Well, it's sad because I was all ready to get Doom, and then I had to put my car in the shop for AC repairs. So Doom's gonna have to wait a little bit.
Mike, yeah.
Trade in Uncharted 4.
AC repairs are definitely more important,
Yeah,
considering the weather we're gonna get. Or
I
we've
know.
gotten
Well,
recently.
it's already.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think College Mike would have put Doom up on the.
College Mike would be like, I'm rolling down the windows.
College Mike, right? They call it 65 and 2.
Yeah, I'm rolling down the windows.
Roll down the window 65 miles an hour.
Right.
And actually, who was it? I can never pronounce his last name, but my good friend Deacon from Finland.
Hmm.
He said,
Mhm.
I gotta pull up this tweet.
Deacon.
The Deacon.
Nakapuki or something.
Yes,
Yeah.
Deacon Nakapuki. Yes.
Yeah.
He said to me, because I said I can't get it because I'm getting because I have to repair my AC, and he said that's no excuse. And I said, well, yeah, kind of. He said to me, hold on, I gotta find it. Talk for a second while I find it.
Mike, you want to hear something crazy? I actually went into GameStop to buy Doom, and I ended up walking out with Valkyrie Chronicles Remastered.
How did that happen?
Proud of you.
I don't. You know what? Let me tell you something. The box art in that game is amazing.
Mm.
And it comes like in a. It's not titanium, but it's like a hard case, and the box art is just it was like buy me, and I just bought it.
It's $29.99. You can't really fight it, you know.
Yeah, it's $30. Yeah. And I hesitated unwrapping it because I was like, you know what, the box art's so great, maybe I should just keep it wrapped. so eventually I'll get to Doom at some point.
Brent said, "I imagine Mama saying it's okay, I'm over it," as she's lining up a headshot from a rooftop. Okay, so this is what Deacon said to me earlier on Twitter. He said, "Car works without AC. You need Doom." And I said, "Well, that's logic that's very difficult to argue with." His response, "If it gets hot, you can always undress. Without Doom, chainsawing people will lead to jail time."
That's fair.
Like I can't imagine you like on $6.95 with your shirt off.
I couldn't either. But that is like the greatest advice I've ever gotten on Twitter before.
He's a wise man. I just want to put that out
very wise. He is wise beyond his hair.
Yeah, beyond his hair.
However, I will always blame him for turning me to, what the hell is that hamster? Ichibuchi or whatever that. Whatever you do not look this up on YouTube. This crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you've seen it, haven't you?
No, but
it beat you.
Yeah.
Yeah. The hamster. That will live in my dreams and haunt me forever. Okay. So, where were we? What's up, Frankie?
It's living the dream, man. It's been a long week.
That it has. So how about them sales?
Over, right? I sat here like I've been listening to the show on my phone. Are they done? Are they done? Are they done? Are they done? I'm sorry. I can't stand sales talk.
No, I know. We tried not to, but this was kind of a big week for that because that really was. There were two big announcements. I was telling them about our great Halo 5 video too that they haven't watched yet.
That was a great time.
It was a great time.
I gotta check that out.
Yeah, me too.
Bender picked up Halo 5, so.
Nice.
Oh, good. So we're gonna get some infection in too. I'm ready for that. I love that. Frankie starts out infected and he's going, "Where are you guys? Where are you guys? I'm asking for a friend." or you were right behind, or Brent was right behind you, and you're trying to find us. I'm like, "Dude, you're not infected yet." And he hit you. He goes, "You were saying?"
Well, now.
You were saying? Well, that was good times. That whole intro, the whole Banhammer thing was hilarious. And the way I edited that video, there's a point right before the first cut where you hear Frankie go, "Ugh," and then it cuts to the first SpongeBob scene, and it's just like perfect timing. So if you haven't seen the video, you guys have got to see it. It's hilarious. Anyway, all right. So you haven't gotten Overwatch. Have any of you guys besides me have Overwatch?
Nah.
No, I haven't picked it up yet, and I got to figure out when I pick it up which console I'm going to get it for. So I gotta.
I know.
I mean, I've got it. I just don't have it on the right box.
Well, that's something we were talking about a few minutes ago, and as part of all this crazy sales talk, is it's kind of made it interesting that for me, and I know for a lot of people, and I think Eric said he same for him. We now have split friends lists.
Yeah.
Like, if I want to play Overwatch, I can't play it with John, and I can't play it with, like I could play it with Brent now because he got it on the Xbox One. But at the moment, if I wanted to play Overwatch with you, I can't because I got it on the wrong box. So, but I want it, so I can't look a gift horse in the mouth. And Jeff Bartram is like a saint, so I can't, he's so. But anyway, all right. So only one person with Overwatch. Okay.
No, actually, I have it. So I have it.
Oh, okay.
I have it. I'll probably be playing it tomorrow night. But I mean, I'm almost making an argument with, some people feel like that's the reason why they don't buy both consoles because they don't want to run into this issue. You know, which game am I going to buy for? And then some, you know, everybody can't afford to buy both games on both systems. I mean, I myself have both, you know, all the systems, and what I've been doing is like the Destinies and certain games, Borderlands 2, you know, I purchased on both systems. So I have more friends on Xbox that I play with, but I built up a core group on PlayStation. So I would just buy both games on both systems and play with both. But everybody, you know, can't do that. So what do you do? So that kind of makes an argument why folks stick to one console. It's not like I'm anti one. It's just that I don't want to run into this issue.
I can barely afford to buy one console game.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's funny because Enrique said this, or no, I'm sorry, Eric said this earlier, and he makes a damn good point. A lot of people, and I'm in that group, I'm waiting for these things to go down in price. I mean, Frankie showed me a link earlier to Battleborn being $35. I got to wait even on that because I got to get my AC fixed. So, and I want Doom. So, I got, you know, what am I going to do? If I take Uncharted to your store, I'm going to get $5 for it. So, I mean,
That's about all it's worth. So whatever.
What?
So, Frank,
Say that?
Frank, are you
Frankie's
of the
not
opinion
a
they should have
fan.
made Borderlands 3?
Borderlands 3.
no, he was talking about Uncharted.
Oh,
I
I'm
thought he
talking
was
about
talking
Uncharted.
I'm sorry. I thought he was talking about.
Frankie is
Oh no,
not-
no! You don't understand. I'm like obsessed with Battleborn right now. It's kind of weird,
Yeah,
but
look behind you. Look
Yeah, I see
behind
the
you.
poster.
Yeah, look behind you.
Yeah, I
Hold
see
on,
it, yeah.
let me click on it.
love
Yeah,
it.
you are. By the way, I can't show you because they're on the other wall, but I've got
Just point.
I've got two right that way, right over there. I've got two nice Sea of Thieves posters and one nice Quantum Break poster that came in the mail, and I have asked my friend Arnie if he's got an Uncharted poster he can send me. He has not responded yet.
I have the Sunset Overdrive things from a store that I want to put up.
Nice.
They're like that
Nice.
hard plastic material, but I haven't found a spot for them yet.
If you haven't found a spot for them yet, you can send them my way. I'll put them up in your stead. They can go.
Frankie's like,
I thought I would try. I had to try.
Worth a shot.
Yeah.
So a couple of people are saying they might double dip. Oh, you were one of them, Enrique. So you might double dip Battlefield 1.
yeah, Battlefield 1. I could probably double dip because I'll have a lot of people playing both, and then it'd
You
be
now
fun.
have 3 kids. You're not double dipping any. You're gonna be lucky if you get single dip from now on.
No. Yeah, now I'll double dip sometimes. Not a lot, but sometimes.
Yeah, I have to wait for Microsoft or PSN money. This is sad. I'm 42 years old, and my parents asked me, "What do you want for your birthday?" You can get me Microsoft money. You know, my father always goes with the same old. Even though I'm 42 years old, well, he's not buying drugs. You know, so
Well, make your dad sound like Ronald Reagan.
well,
Well,
I tell my friends, my family the same thing. Like, yeah, just Microsoft points, PSN points. You
Yeah.
know.
I mean that's honestly gift cards. You know,
Yep.
Best Buy, whatever. I can convert them into money. Whatever I can do to get, because that's really, it's that, or I have to wait till this stuff goes, you know, to Games for Gold, or has some kind of great deal where, you know, like I remember during the holiday season, I picked up the Crew and Wild Run for $20. I couldn't pass it up. Or I have EA access. So as much as, you know, Frankie, do you still have Plants vs. Zombies 2, Garden Warfare 2?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so
I got the thing digitally everywhere that I could buy it except PC. So
okay, so good, because eventually it's going to be on EA Access, and they'll be able to play it with you.
about
What
time.
you were supposed to play 6 months ago.
Killing me.
That was the exact sound right there. That was the exact sound in the Halo video.
It's a common one.
Oh, finally
So-
a game that make me purchase EA Access. You said
Yeah.
PVZ2
Oh, we
is
had
coming
such
to
a good
EA
time.
Access?
We had such a good time that night.
Cool, yeah, that was fun.
That and The Division were my 2 favorite times playing with you, Mama.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
We got to do that. We got to get back to
Yeah, we
stuff
do.
like that. Now that I'm done with Uncharted and I'm gonna play. I mean, I'm gonna hit Overwatch. Now that I can't get Doom quite yet, gotta get back to some of that stuff.
Sounds good to me.
So at the end of this show, I want to hear what your backlogs are. Since we always talk about what we're
my
playing,
God.
I want to talk about what your backlogs are because mine is
Oh,
a mess.
no.
Oh,
No.
man.
No, we'll
My
be on for
backlog
3
goes all the way.
hours.
My backlog goes all the way over there.
Yeah, yeah. Mine too. I got like from there down to there, so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So De Niro says use Bing rewards for some Xbox gift cards. I'm actually using my Bing rewards for Xbox Live.
Yep, same here. I'm less than 1,000 credits away from my next 1 year of goal.
Yeah, I'm close.
Mm-hmm.
I'm afraid if I keep doing it though, they're gonna ban me.
The ban hammer
Use their
again.
Yeah, the ban hammer. So, all right. So the reason that I have asked you all here. So so for everybody who, of course, is listening now, they know this, but for those who are going to listen afterwards, the following topics are strictly rumors and have no credence in the gaming world whatsoever. However, where there's smoke, there is appearing to be fire. And that fire seems to now be called Scorpio. Project Scorpio and Project Helix.
Oh.
Oh yeah. So let me set this up. So this week, we've had all this talk about what Sony's going to do with PlayStation Neo to the point that it has even tired Frankie out, right?
Yep.
Okay. So now it's Microsoft's turn. Now, mind you, not a single thing is actually confirmed to be even announced at E3, but everybody seems to think this is coming.
Yeah, I'm already tired. I'm tired already.
Well, you're about to get more tired because it's ramping up. So, this is the latest from apparent industry inside sources. That Microsoft is preparing not one, but 2 different new Xbox machines that will be released this year and next. The first one is going to be the slim model, which is plausible. They need a slim model that they can cut the price down heavily so they can get more out the door. I think that's a fair thing.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is codenamed Scorpio. I can say that in my best Peralta Brooklyn Nine-Nine voice.
There you go.
Scorpio. It's even got a great ring to it. It's the Scorpio. That is going to be apparently the new powerful Super Xbox that's coming out, that would come out sometime next year. Now, according to people in the know, this thing is supposed to be like 4 times as powerful as the current Xbox One, which, mind you, by the way, was the same Xbox One that Phil Spencer said he was happy with. Keep that in mind. But they're going to be not only putting this beast of a console together, but it's supposed to, or the rumor is, that it may support Oculus, and that Microsoft is looking at a partnership with Oculus Rift. So that will be their VR. And today, Ars Technica, which I follow a little bit here and there. I don't follow it a lot, but they put out an article this morning that a developer is working on. They claim one major developer is currently planning to release a new virtual reality game on, they say, the Xbox One in 2017, and plans to show that game at E3. So that, I think, we would mean any new hardware that they're talking about. So things started for me to go from, all right, this is just, this is a rumor, this is, nobody knows a thing yet. Microsoft's been very good about being tight-lipped, to maybe there's a little bit of credence to this. So I wanted to start getting some thoughts and ideas about what this could be and whether or not it's something that even at this point exists. Now, Frankie, you've been chomping. This is what drove you home 85 miles an hour to come talk about. So, I want to get your thoughts on this.
For me, it's not even necessarily about the hardware itself. Look, we're gonna go back to the first time you and I ever talked. One of the first things we talked about was actually VR. And
great podcast, by the way.
Indeed, it was. It was a great time.
It was. I remember you telling everybody on Short Pause that you had no idea what you were in for.
But one of the first things we talked about was how VR, and neither of us cared about it at all, right?
Which I still don't. I'm still in that boat. I still VR, AR.
I mean, I don't want to say that I'm completely coming around on it, but I'm intrigued at the idea of it. I mean, my biggest barrier to really letting myself get excited about it is I'm worried that, especially with PlayStation handling it, it'll be out for a year, they're going to forget it exists because it's going to not sell very well, and ultimately it's going to be this big investment that's going to have nothing to play on it. That's my biggest fear buying into VR, because it's not cheap.
Call Vita.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or 3D gaming, the Vita, the PSP, any of that Sony stuff, the Move, they put it out and forget it's there, and you're asking me to buy a $400 headset. I want to know, okay, this thing's going to be pretty relevant for a couple of years, not well, there were a couple games within the first 6 months and no one bought them, so oh well.
Well, and there's another piece to that, and Mamacita actually brought that up while we were at the beginning of the beginning of the podcast, and I want her to kind of expand on it a little bit from what she read, but the whole, we found out, or at least we've heard, somebody told Edge Magazine that the whole point of the Neo was because, quote, I'm quoting, PSVR was going to be terrible on a launch PS4, the source told Edge Magazine. Mm-hmm. It was going to be truly awful. Something a bit more powerful starts to bring VR into range. If you want to deal with crazy requirements for performance in VR, you absolutely have to introduce new hardware. Now that's not fanboys shooting each other on Twitter over this. This is somebody, this is some technical anonymous CTO. Of course, they're all anonymous, so. But
that's actually something I've been talking about on our Short Pause podcast too. I've mentioned before, once the specs for the Neo came out, looking at that and looking at minimum system requirements for an Oculus Rift, I was like, this puts it within spitting distance. I think this new system is supposed to be the ultimate PlayStation VR experience. I think that's what it's for. And it's the same thing looking at this Xbox One, okay, you guys want to get into VR. Now, the VR aspect of this is the only reason I have any interest in either of these consoles, because the way looking at VR now is you need to build a ridiculously expensive PC that's going to set you probably well over $1,000, as well as the several $100 headset. You're now talking about being able to purchase a console, below $500 in theory, that is going to be powerful enough to, even if at just minimum settings, run VR. You're not opening that market up to a completely new sub-market, and that actually, in my my mindset here, is that it's going to give VR a chance to actually thrive and be more than a gimmick. That's what I'm hoping. That's where my interest in all this lies.
Well, Mama, go ahead and kind of expand. Now I want you to expand on what you were starting to say at the beginning, because you definitely had some thoughts about this.
Well, I was pretty much saying, if VR is going to be a thing, if it's going to take off in the way that Sony and everybody else wants it to. It's going to have to. It's going to have to not have these subpar games. I mean, we've joked about it ourselves. Look, some of the games that are coming to VR, and it's like we've joked about. It's like, who's going to play that?
Apple Pie Jones.
Yes. So just as Frankie said, if it's not going to be gimmicky,
Zombie
if it's
taxi.
not going to be, the next 3D or the next, Connect or Wii, they're going to have to beef up those specs. They're going to have to beef up the performance in order to appeal to those of us, I think they want to bring in the hardcore gamer this time and not just appeal to the casuals, because we know how they do. We kind of, you pick up something and then you kind of move on to the next. So I think if they can, and they've got the eye of the hardcore gamer. That's the thing with VR. The hardcore gamer just wasn't interested in Connect, wasn't interested in Move. But you have hardcore gamers that are interested in VR. So they're going to have to get it right. So it makes sense for them to present new hardware, so that these games can be functional, and our hardcore gamer base can say, yeah, okay, now I would buy this game, or I would play this game. So that's kind of my perspective.
Yeah. That's a good point. There's always a concern of shovelware with technology like this. I mean, I think we saw that with the Kinect, and we're seeing a little bit of that with VR. Like when we talk about Apple Pie Jones, we kind of joke around about it.
Yeah.
And the Zombie Taxi Cab game. But I think that we're going to get different, at least on the console side with PlayStation VR. I think that what Sony's doing is they're positioning themselves to offer kind of an entry point to VR with what we've seen so far, and then maybe offer some of the like hardcore folks maybe something a little bit more powerful to kind of get them a little more excited, or offer them more. What's the word I'm looking for? I'm sorry, guys. I haven't gotten a lot of sleep the last couple nights.
No, I think we understand.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're with the Neo, it's probably offering more immersive VR experiences. Maybe not at the level of Oculus, but maybe something close to that. So that's, I think that who knows? Maybe it's a smart move. Maybe it isn't. I don't know. But it's interesting. It's definitely piqued my interest with PlayStation VR and what Sony's doing now. But I do think that at least with the current PlayStation 4, I think that's kind of more of an entry, kind of a gateway to folks with who already own a console, who are thinking about PlayStation VR, who don't want to build a high-end PC like Frankie said. And then with Neo, it's like maybe those folks are kind of in between and maybe want a little bit more immersive VR experience on a game console.
Right, but are you going to buy a PlayStation VR to play Job Simulator? I mean, I think that's the point that some people are making, is that and B-Money said it in there too. If VR is going to take off, it needs real games, and I agree with that.
It does, but there are some things coming out. Like, I mean, what is it? There's that one game. I think Mama, you played it at the PlayStation Experience.
Battlezone.
What was it, Frankie?
Battle Riggs. Did you play, Mama?
Yeah, there's Riggs. Eve Valkyrie, maybe.
Eve Valkyrie, yeah. Eve Valkyrie's the one I keep hearing about. But who's the guy who one of the founders of Naughty Dog that went to Oculus? I forget his name. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Jason Rubin.
Jason Rubin.
Right.
I mean, he's saying with Oculus and what we can expect with VR that we're closer to like Skyrim type experiences on VR. Like, people don't realize how close we are to that.
I don't disagree, but to get that experience especially with Oculus, you need a beast of a machine. I mean,
well, yeah, but these things are. I look at VR like this. Maybe this isn't the best comparison, but think back Xbox Live, right? When Xbox Live first came out, everyone's like, oh, no one, everyone's still on 56K. No one has broadband. This thing isn't going to work. It's not going to really have legs. But stuff like this it rolls out in phases, and you're going to have those hardcore, those techies who are going to go out and build PC rigs that are powerful enough to have these like super immersive VR experiences, and eventually that technology is going to get cheaper, and you're going to have like people who are going to, start buying the cheaper versions of what people had 3 years earlier to start getting more of these immersive experiences. And I think this is going to roll out in phases. yeah, obviously the software has to be there. You know, and obviously shovelware is a concern. But I think that with the amount of money that's being pumped into this thing, I think this thing's going to have legs. I mean, there's a lot of money being put into VR right now, billions of dollars of
Right,
money.
but what this guy was saying is that this is not built for this. And see, okay, this is how I have felt about this. I've been very consistent on this, and I continue to be. And so far, not much has been able to kind of sway me on this. I feel like, and I say this for both. I feel like this Neo console and this Scorpio console are like an apology from these companies. I honestly, I mean, how many people are going to feel like they've been sold a bill of goods? They were sold on the PlayStation 4 being this wonderfully powerful, most powerful console on the planet that can do 1080p, 60 frames per second. You had one of the PlayStation indie guys who was tweeting out, "That's all you're going to hear. You're going to hear that so much. 1080p or 60 or death." And then, so now you've got games that aren't doing it, and I'm not getting into a comparison, but on the whole, I mean, DICE can't get a 1080p game off their Frostbite engine on the thing. Watch Dogs, when it launched,
An old engine.
but my point, so you've got games that aren't hitting 60 frames per second.
Mm-hmm.
Look at not the Witcher. Look at this Fallout DLC that just came out. That can't even hit, in some places, can't even hit 20 frames per second on these consoles. So, you've got this bill of goods that's been sold to people, which is why Sony sold 40 million consoles, because they're expecting this experience. And I feel like on both sides here, both companies are saying, well, okay, so I know we showed you this great VR stuff, and I know that we told you that this was the pinnacle of PlayStation hardware and stuff, and I know we're only 3 years in, not even, because E3 2016 isn't even going to be 3 years into the gen. But, okay, we really haven't hit that. So buy this new console that's going to be beefier and stuff. And they're going to have to, with 40 million PS4 sales, they're going to have to sell some of this to their existing base, which means there are people, and trust me, I happen to know people who are excited about this, who are like, I'm day one, I'm in line. They're actually going to pay $400 plus another, God knows how much these consoles are going to cost. So they're going to pay $800 to $1,000 in consoles to get the experience. And this is strictly my opinion. I want everybody to jump in on this. You can tell me you're wrong. I'm wrong. It's fine. This is strictly my opinion. You're going to spend $800 to $1,000 to get the experience you were told in 2013 that you were going to get when you bought a $500 Xbox One or a $400 PS4. That's my feeling.
No, I definitely think that if these two consoles, or whatever they are real based on the specs that we have, I definitely think that these are the consoles that we were supposed to get in 2013 for a true next-gen experience. And because I remember telling a buddy of mine when, the argument started going back and forth about 1080p, 60 frames per second, and which one can do it and which one can't do it. And I said, why are we having a discussion about either one of them doing it? If this is a next-gen console, 1080p is an old standard. Why are either one of them struggling? And I said, if it's going to keep going down this path, you're probably going to see something being addressed with an update of some sort before you know it. And this friend of mine was arguing me down. No, most console cycles last, 6 years. Or I said, if this is where we are right now, early in this cycle, and we're already talking about these two consoles having issues doing these specs or achieving, 1080p or 60 frames per second, something's going to have to be addressed, because it's never going to survive, maybe even 4 years. I said it's not going to survive 5, 6, 7 years before another announcement's made. Now, on the flip side of that, if people do run out and support this in droves, you're opening the door now to your iterative console updates, where I know people are making the comparison to cell phones, which I don't necessarily agree with that part of it. but you're going to start getting companies, these two companies, responding in this way and saying, okay, well, people are responding to it. We can probably drop a new console with better specs maybe every 3-year cycle. I don't know how I feel about that.
I think I've said the timing. I'm sorry, Mamacita. You sounded like you were about to say.
No, I wasn't saying anything.
Okay, it's the timing. Like, I expect this in a 5-year cycle. I don't expect the consoles are going to take another 10-year cycle. I think that's not
happening.
I think that was a fluke. I think that was something. I think people
They did that to make up losses.
Well, not just that. I think people got a hold. I mean, I also think we've hit somewhat of a plateau with graphics, myself. But you guys also know I'm not a resolution guy. So whether or not Star Wars Battlefront was 900p on the PS4 or 720p on the Xbox One, whether or not this game was this resolution, this game was that resolution. Like, I totally get the what you're saying, Eric, is that it's it's an old standard. But if we weren't talking about that, if that wasn't the prevalent sales point, I don't think we'd be talking about new consoles this far in. I think this is bearing out because people were we had company executives standing up on stage at E3 saying, this is what it's to me it's E3 2006 all over again with with the Killzone trailer. And
yeah, Mike, real quick, kind of to your point, you're talking about like going out and spending $500 for a new console and $500 for VR. And Frankie just mentioned this in chat. I totally agree with him. Frankie, you said that this is for those people who love new tech and want all those experiences, while having a box that caters to those who just want games. I mean, I think these things aren't intended for maybe us. They're for that small group, that small demographic that's going to go out and buy these things, because that group does exist. So I'm not going to go out and buy, spend $1,000 on a new PlayStation and PlayStation VR. But this is definitely something. There's definitely people out there that are going to do it, and this is something that's marketed for them. It's not marketed for the mass market.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like Ferraris. How many people do you know own Ferraris?
0.
Or could afford one.
Right.
Maybe that's a bad example or analogy, but.
Well, Enrique, I'm from Miami. Don't you know we all have, Ferraris and.
You guys all have Bentleys, man.
Yeah.
So we see what happened when they did not target, the core gamer. The Wii, Connect, Move. Look what happened. It's like if you go back and look at history. I mean, they aren't going to make that same mistake twice, and go after, the gamer that's not really going to stick with them. If they can impress the hardcore gamer and say, it's the core gamer that's going to say, well, yeah, okay, now I can do this. I like this. And then they're going to spread the word and they're going to pass it on and say, yeah, you should get this game. If you can impress that core gamer. The core gamers were not impressed with Connect, with Move, and Wii. They weren't impressed with it. So I just think they almost have to do what they're doing. And if you're not going to introduce hardware that's going to support the system and have it running at 10, have these games where, you don't want anyone putting on a headset and then they're looking at these games like, this looks like a PS3 360 game. That's the last thing Sony or Microsoft wants.
What is this Apple Pie Jones? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great point. That's a great point, Mama. And I go back to, we think about just online console gaming. I mean, Mike, you remember obviously you remember I almost said the Saturn, but the Dreamcast.
Mm-hmm.
When they announced online, people were like, what? Wait a minute. And so something like that and something like this just takes time. It's like Mama said, you get that core audience to buy in, and they kind of spread the word. And it's something like this where the technology is expensive. The technology is going to get cheaper as the years go on.
Right, but we had full cycles out of this. I mean, it was, this is kind of new territory, and I think that one of the things that we have hit in this is we've now brought these consoles to PC architecture. So we're no longer using cell processors or PowerPC or any of these crazy custom-made. I mean, they're custom-made chips, but they're not. They're basically PC-level chips. We're using PC RAM, PC CPUs, PC GPUs. So now we're at a point where we're basically paralleling to we're set-top boxing a PC. We're doing more or less what a Steam box was trying to do, and shout out to anybody who owns a Steam box. But it's again, I think I guess where I've always had an issue is the timing. And that's where I sort of think that if you're announcing, especially if you're announcing a console that is that much more powerful than your current Xbox One, if these specs are real, any bit real, and this thing has 6 teraflops, which is what the number that I've heard. If you're doing that 4 years into a generation, that to me just signals that you're trying to say
it happened before though.
With
the 360, 4 years.
Yes, but that's because the Xbox was just a dismal failure as far as sales go, and they needed to get something out quick. The Xbox One is not nearly a failure in that sense, and Sony's doing it too, and they're the market leader among all. So it's not like it's just Microsoft doing this because they're desperate. Sony's doing the same thing. It's just Go ahead, Frank. You have a look on your face.
Frank is in deep thought.
I'm just thinking, like, at the end of the last generation, it was like one of the longest ones that we had, and it was coming to a point where it seemed like developers were holding off new things. Like we got God of War Ascension, Gears of War Judgment, just these like weird spin-off games that you look at, you're like, it's fine, I guess. Where's the next big one?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if it's just because at the end of that generation, like all of us were just clamoring for new hardware. Maybe realistically, they should have held off a couple more years. I mean, we even saw The Last of Us come out, so I mean, I still think they could have squeezed a little bit more out of those boxes before these new ones came out. But like you do have a point there too. Like maybe these shouldn't have been out just yet. Like maybe now is when they should have launched.
Well, right, and I mean, and that's possible. But I mean, I also look at development cycle, and look at how much time does it take for developers to really wrap their arms around hardware, right? It usually takes a couple of years for them to really get good, as a Dark Souls person would say. And so now we're getting to a point. I mean, look at it, it's 3 years in, and we're starting to get Quantum Break and Uncharted 4 and what looks like Gears of War, if that really looks like what Gears of War looks like. I mean, now we're starting to get some really good jumps in graphic quality from launch. And so all of a sudden, now you got to jump to new hardware. And again, I just think, there are people now that are still looking at how fast and how much the PlayStation 4 is selling. So you get somebody who just bought it this year, and they're going, holy crap, I just bought this thing. It's still fairly new.
Yeah.
And now there's another piece of hardware out there that's better. What am I going to do?
It might, but I believe Sony's, with regards to the Neo, has said that there's not going to be like Neo exclusive content.
No, of course not. And I don't think Microsoft, and neither company can do that.
Yeah, so
neither company can afford that.
So like for me, like as I look at this, like so long as like I'm not missing out on something, I'm okay not having the most powerful console for the time being.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't care if my thing's 900p. If I gotta spend another $500 to get 1080p, like I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I just don't care. Now, if it's nice to have the option. If I ever want to upgrade, I can do it. But for me, it's if I don't have to buy it, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna get the same games you're getting otherwise, so you're not losing anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a tech addict, so if anybody can relate to where I am, it's hard for me to not have the latest and greatest. And I'm sorry, that's just how I am. I
There's
am.
nothing wrong with that. Yeah, it's
No,
just
Yeah.
not
you're
that's
Texan.
look. I said there
And
are people that are happy
yeah.
about this.
But
Yeah, I
see,
mean, not
Mike,
that I wasn't expecting this, and I wasn't looking, forward to this and going, yeah, I want new hardware now. But now that it appears that that's what's happening, it's going to be real hard for me my PS4 to sit there knowing there's a Neo out there at Best Buy somewhere. It's going to be real hard knowing there's an Xbox Scorpio sitting out there, and it's going to just be hard. The techie in me is
Absolutely.
probably gonna buy it.
And I think that's where some of the resentment's going to come in from a lot of people who are like, why am I sitting here with this PS4? Why am I sitting here with this Xbox One when they just brought out new hardware and I wasn't ready for it? But I'd really like to have it. So I will say this: I hope that Microsoft and Sony have some damn good trade-in stuff for this, because they're going to need it.
Yeah.
I mean, they're really going to need it to sway. I think this is a hard sell. People keep telling me it's not. I think this is a hard sell.
Yeah, I don't think it is if the software's still the same. I think
but they got to sell to the base. They've got to sell to people who have already bought this console now.
Well, they're going to. You're going to have the core people. You're going to have people like Mama, who's a techie, who's a core gamer, who's probably going to buy this. So and so yeah, you're not going to. Not everyone's going to buy this, but you're definitely going to have, I think, a core group, a demographic that's going to go on and buy. They're going to want the latest and greatest.
The other thing to keep in mind is if you're only now buying a new system when another one is coming out, you obviously aren't somebody who cares about any of that. Like, you want the cheaper system. The base PlayStation 4 is going to exist alongside the Neo. I mean, again, it ultimately just comes down to, like, are you a tech person? Do you want to spend more money to get, all this fancier stuff? Then get the more expensive box. But if you're just somebody who, like me, just wants to play video games, buy the cheaper base console. You got the same exact games. Who cares if you lose in a couple Ps or, you hit 59 frames instead of 120 or whatever? Like, the same thing.
Yeah, that's a great point, Frankie, because we see that with cell phones.
Yeah.
Where people don't want, the latest iPhone, they'll get like the generation before. They'll get like, they may not want the iPhone 7, they'll just get the 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't need that. I don't need that. I don't need that touchy screen thing.
Well, there's a lot of it, but the difference.
The touchy screen.
Good old flip phones.
Good old flip phones. My mother still has one. See, the difference, though, in the cell phone industry, though, is how many times can you get a cell phone, though, a new upgraded cell phone for cheap or free? Because you can expand your plan, you can move to another carrier. Without some great incentives like that, like I said, some people are going to end up spending twice the price to get, and I think it still goes back to what you were sold in 2013, not being what they got sold, and now having a console that's the thing I think is going to be a sticking point to a lot of people. You're now bringing out a console that you told me this console was supposed to do. And that's where I think some of this is going to come into play. People were expecting 1080p 60 from the PlayStation 4. Whether or not you were expecting it from the Xbox One is irrelevant. The fact that there's 40 million PlayStation 4s out there are many, many people, and that's been one of the big ammo pieces in this stupid fake war that's going out there. Is 50% better and 1080p on everything, and it's not coming to fruition the way that it was marketed, and now there's a console on the horizon. And let me caution, none of this has been announced. So we're still technically talking about vaporware. I know that somebody in the chat room said that Rand pretty much confirmed it, but until as an old man and an old game journalist, I never believe it until it's in ink. So
the specs weren't confirmed by him. It was that there's something coming.
Right.
Basically, yeah. We don't know the specs, but
exactly. So
we don't even know what CPU, GPU they're using. That's the other thing.
Right.
I mean, they're saying 6 teraflops, but I mean we don't know the CPU, GPU. We don't know real world performance or anything like that.
Well, the fortune tellers on Twitter know.
Right. Wait.
I don't know why they're not playing the lottery as opposed to being on Twitter,
exactly.
Yeah,
How come these insiders never know when there's a price cut on hardware?
Right?
I can tell us about it, but that continues to, I think, be why I think that we're a year too early for this. Is I do think that it's one thing when you go 4 or 5 years in a normal cycle and there's better hardware out there, and I think you get to understand it. Plus, now you get the added benefit of true backward compatibility because of where we are with CPUs and GPUs now. But this early to be getting something that seems to have been sold at you the first time, it doesn't matter to me because as Frankie, I agree with Frankie. I don't really care. I haven't cared. If I cared, why would I have a PlayStation 4 and an Xbox One? I would, I'd build a giant PC. I don't care. So, like Frankie, I'm gonna play. I'm not day one on these new things. I can't be because I have a wife and 3 kids and no disposable income left. So
no air conditioning.
And no air conditioning. So I can't do it. I can't. I'm very happy with the 2 consoles I have.
Yeah.
Very happy. But and so to that point, I get that. I do get that. You have to also make a profit on these things. I mean, nobody's selling these at a loss. I think you're out of that age too. So they're going to have to sell substantial amounts of these consoles to make up for the whatever R&D they put into it.
Don't sweat it, Mike, because my source tells me that Scorpio won't release until October. That's why it's called Scorpio. That's my source.
That's funny.
Which means absolutely nothing because you could just get up there and say, sources said. What source? Well, my source.
Right.
2017. And October 2017.
Yeah, there you go. It's a year away. More than a year away.
First year in NLG.
Right. No, don't put that on me. You first heard that from members of the Basement Radio Arcade Podcast.
And our sources.
No, I'm alumni.
Damn.
The Basement Radio
alumni card.
No, the. It's Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
The Basement Radio Arcade.
Come on, somebody had to get that reference.
Yeah, no, but but it's definitely a paradigm shift. It's hard for us to understand it too, or be okay with it because a lot of us have been gaming for, well, I don't know a lot of us, but few of us, 2 of us here have at least been gaming for 30 years. So this is a huge paradigm shift. I think it's even hard for me to kind of wrap my mind around, maybe consoles going to kind of this model like we see with cell phones.
Well, and if you look at
or other forms of technology, it's just
Well, and if you expand on what Microsoft is doing, it is also, and this is where somebody had talked about this Project Helix. So we know that Microsoft is making a move towards unifying the Xbox and the PC architecture and the infrastructure and the ecosystem by kind of Windows, universal Windows platform and stuff, and this is part of their greater strategy is to have, which I've said this before, so I don't know why people seem to think this is insider information. This is kind of common sense that they would use the Xbox brand as their entry level into PC gaming as an entry level kind of system, where you would now have the ability to play. Which Quantum Break and Fable Legends, I don't have anything in here about out for, and even now Halo Wars 2, and apparently if what is being said is true, mainline Halo will go this route. I think we're all expecting Gears of War to go this route. Sea of Thieves is going to go this route. Recore is that all games going forward are going to be, for at least in Microsoft's first party, will be Xbox and PC simultaneous, using the Universal Windows platform to develop for both, come out simultaneously, and be pretty much compatible and cross-playable between the two. That's not exactly, like I said, I don't know why anybody thinks that's insider information. Phil Spencer's been talking about that for 2 years now.
Sounds insider to me, Mike. I've never heard that.
Really?
No, I'm joking.
Okay. I'm sorry, now it's
By
getting...
the way, I like how Frankie's like leaning back on his chair. He's looking like the Godfather.
It's wonderful. I haven't got to sit down all day, so I'm just like, man.
The chair looks comfortable.
Just lean into it, Frankie. Lean into the chair.
Yeah.
Talking about shit I don't care about.
He's like 2 thumbs up.
Well, wait a minute, though. So you have no desire or thoughts or anything about co-development between console and PC? I mean, it's kind of important.
I'm not a PC gamer, so
Okay.
I don't care about PC.
All right, but look at it from the vantage point. So one of the arguments that I've always made about this is, I guess I'm an insider now because I guessed at this as well. The right now Windows 10 has a gajillion users, and even more now that they're forcing the upgrade on unsuspecting people. There's millions upon millions upon millions of potential PC gamers out there running Windows 10 now, and by Microsoft actually adding PC to even their mainline games, they're opening themselves up to that crazy thing called more revenue. Now, on the face, it doesn't seem like that's a big deal, and let you slink back in your chair, but that revenue turns into... Anybody want to finish my sentence? More... Seriously.
I want Frankie to say it.
More...
No, I'm waiting. Go on.
More games.
Are you sure? Are you
More
sure?
games. Yes.
Are you sure?
All right. So let me... Okay. Do you think... Does anybody in this room right now believe that at the moment we're getting a Sunset Overdrive 2 or a Quantum Break 2?
I think we'll get a Quantum Break 2, maybe.
You think?
You know what? That's wishful thinking.
I honestly think we get a Sunset Overdrive 2 before Quantum Break 2. I don't know that Quantum Break needs a sequel, to be totally honest with you, but
I haven't finished it yet, so I can't tell from I don't know from a story standpoint. But so right now, there's no plans for a Sunset Overdrive sequel, none that we know of. And Insomniac has moved on. Of course, they did. They moved on to Ratchet and Clank, and now they're moving on to this joint venture with GameStop to make games.
And VR, bro.
And
Yeah,
VR.
and
right,
VR.
and VR, bro.
The
So,
question is, would Sunset even stay? Excuse me. Would Sunset stay console exclusive? A Sunset 2,
well, Microsoft doesn't own that IP, so I would
Right.
imagine that'd be up to Insomniac.
Right.
But I guess what I'm getting at here is, we know that Sunset Overdrive just didn't sell on the Xbox One for whatever reason that escapes me. The same travesty that I feel about Quantum Break and Forza Horizon 2 and every other first-party game that's come out that's not Halo 5. If that game came out on PC and also sold and picked up the slack, or if Quantum Break sells another 1.5 million on PC, that gives you a greater chance of getting a sequel than just the whatever you sold on the Xbox. And I think they see that. I think that's why Sea of Thieves and Recore, and I'm betting Scalebound, and I'm betting Gears of War. I'm betting if they think they're going to sell, let's say, 3 million copies of Gears of War just on the Xbox One, but they think they can sell 6 million, opening it up to PC as well, that guarantees money.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that kind of comes back to Mama's initial point that people just don't want exclusives, like they want the third-party stuff. Like, isn't this kind of that though? Like,
it is, but Gears is a different beast. I expect. Let me tell you, and I think we said this last week. If Gears of War does not sell, Microsoft's got a big problem.
I think he'll do well. I don't see it not selling.
I don't either. But then again.
But yeah, you're right. If it doesn't, it's like,
And Microsoft's got a big problem they've got to deal with, because that's a job. I mean, that is a. There are a lot of people. For as many people as say Halo, when you say Xbox and like you say, what's the first thing that comes to mind? There's a ton of people that say Gears of War.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people that'll say Gears of War before they say Halo. So I think Gears is a more important franchise to them at this point than Halo is. If that doesn't sell, I don't know what Microsoft does at that point.
If it doesn't sell, I think it just goes back to what my opinion is in how the gaming culture is just shifting. I think Sony, Microsoft knows a lot of things that we just don't, or we just refuse to look at, and that the gaming culture of 2005 and 2006 is not the gaming culture of 2016. We care about these games, but the generation behind us, they do not. And if they aren't going to buy into the Halos, the Gears, the Uncharted, the Sunset Overdrives, they're not going to waste their time and their money if they're not going to, if they're not going to have the numbers behind them. And to me, that just goes back to what I say, that it's just a shift. And I think there's a transition with the gamers, the core gamer, the hardcore gamer, the one that us, yeah, but the ones behind us, no. I mean, they're on tablets, they're on their iPhones. They don't care about console gaming, and I think that's what the big issue here is, as to why the Halos or Quantum Break, not necessarily Halo, but Quantum Break and Sunset Overdrive just didn't sell well. Because they don't care about that. When they buy the Xbox Ones, those gamers that are buying the Xbox One, they aren't buying it for those games. We are, but they aren't. They're watching TV, they're playing Call of Duty and Netflix.
That's a great point, Mama. I mean, gaming is gaming regardless of what platform you're doing it on. And there's so many different ways to experience gaming now that we didn't have 10 years ago. If you look at mobile gaming, you look at some of the ridiculous numbers that mobile games get because of how accessible they are. People just want to play games, and it doesn't matter if it's a big AAA experience or if it's done on a phone or a tablet. It's still gaming. It's still entertainment. And I think for Sony and Microsoft, that's the kind of $1 million question. Mm-hmm. How do we keep this thing viable and moving forward?
Yes, I have 7 nephews between the ages of 15 and 19, and between the 7 of them, they have a PS3, PS4, Xbox 360, and an Xbox One. And when I see them on, you know what they're doing? Call of Duty, Netflix, and that's it.
Yeah.
And that's the age group. That's the age group. Whereas 10 years ago, those same guys in that age, what were they doing? Halo 5, Gears. Those guys, they don't care, and I don't get it.
Well, B-Money makes a good point. He says gamers will have to choose from Titanfall, Battlefield 1, Call of Duty, and Destiny. I guess whatever Destiny expansion they're doing, along with Gears this holiday. That could have that could play right into that.
Gears is right?
October, I thought.
Yeah, Gears is October.
Yeah, Gears is October.
Okay. Yes, so right before the holiday.
Now, Gears though is multiplayer, so that might be what saves it. Is that's if you guys know, which we've seen, Gears is now a big esports thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I know. Wait! Oh, damn it, we missed it. Do it again.
What?
Oh my God, Mama, he looks like he was at your house partying.
Oh, that's gonna be me in about 30 minutes.
And trust me when I say I share that sentiment. I totally share that sentiment. Esports
But esports is a big thing, Mike. I mean, it's ESPN's picking up on it. Activision.
It just shows you how utterly old I have gotten.
Well, yeah, things are changing. I mean, it's not how it used to be when we were growing up. I mean, esports is just huge. There's so much money being put into esports. It's ridiculous.
I feel like we've
saw at PAX East.
I feel like we've gotten to a point to where creativity gets stifled. Because like it or not,
I think the indies are kind of picking up the slack with creativity, though.
Okay, so outside of Rocket League, Minecraft, and Roblox, tell me where the big indies are.
Ori and the Blind Forest, Firewatch.
That's not it. Okay. Ori and the Blind Forest is not an indie game. It's a Microsoft IP. That's I never considered that. Mamacita and I have had that conversation around Game of the Year time. Remember?
Yeah, I remember.
I thought Firewatch was a great game.
Well, I'm talking sales-wise. I'm talking numbers. What big, other than Minecraft, which actually seems to be unstoppable. Minecraft is the only game that seems to be able to beat Grand Theft Auto 5. I mean, other than that, what big? Is anybody?
The Witcher 3.
Is that indie?
That's an indie, yeah, technically.
Technically, yeah.
Technically, it's an indie. Yeah, CD Projekt Red's kind of on their,
How come nobody talks about the graphics of Minecraft? You look at graphics. I mean, come on, you can't get any more blotchier and blocky.
Yeah, but kids,
everybody buys it.
And let me tell you,
but it's accessible.
And let me tell you, for my this channel right now, which I love, has 445 subs. The average Minecraft channel that's run by kids my son's age, or a Roblox channel by a 9-year-old, has 5 million subs to it.
See?
And to this day, Microsoft's biggest holiday mistake was not having a Minecraft bundle.
We've talked about that a lot, Mike.
We talk about it a lot, and
I don't know why they didn't do that.
No, and to answer De Niro in the chat room, he said, "Is Minecraft even considered an indie still?" No, not at this point. At this point, it is a Microsoft IP. But at the time that even in its big, the reason that Microsoft bought it was because it was an indie game that has blown up to huge proportions, and now Roblox, which my son plays religiously, is the next kind of big thing, and Roblox has a big following. So those are, and you're right. It's blocks. It's kids building basically what looks like the equivalent of in television graphic buildings and stuff, and slapping at weird looking spiders, and that's the game. And yet
surviving at night.
And surviving at night, right?
Creepers,
and then playing it on and then these 12-year-old kids are going to play it on their $900 HoloLens, right? So, I mean, there aren't that many indie games that catch fire like that, and there's a lot of them that I like, but I guess we could throw Witcher in there since CD Projekt Red isn't a full-fledged big publisher like EA or Activision.
But despite the sales numbers, I still think indies are really pushing that creative envelope. They're kind of filling that vacuum.
Right, and I guess my point is who's buying them, and that's the thing.
Yeah, but
well, that's also kind of the problem that you're talking about. Like Mama said, everyone's playing Call of Duty.
Right.
You got the diehards who got into Halo who are still buying Halo and Gears. It's those of us who love gaming for everything that it offers, the one buying all the indies. It's not everybody.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
Mike, you got to play Firewatch, man.
Do it's on the list. I gotta get back and play some more Rocket League. I played that hoops mode, by the way. That's fun.
I didn't mean to cut you off, Eric. What were you gonna say?
Oh no, I was just kind of agreeing with you guys, but for like some of these independent games, when you talk about sales, you have to kind of look at, what's successful for them and what they're doing. Because you look at games like Shovel Knight, Monument Valley, trying to think of a few others, for what they are doing across platform and what they're selling. I mean, Monument Valley is not a console game, obviously it's a mobile game, but they just reported that they sold like how many or downloaded how many copies of it? Like 53 million.
Sounds about right.
Something
That's a
like
cool
that.
game.
That's a really good game, actually. I would recommend anybody to check that out and
What's
play
it? And what is it?
Monument Valley. Very creative puzzle game. So, yeah, but they're there. I mean, there's so many. I mean, they're not going to be necessarily talked about as like a AAA would, but yeah. But Enrique's right. A lot of them are quietly making noise and selling a lot of copies. It's just.
Oh, in the mobile space, they're killing it.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
even in some of the console spaces,
with DLC and and microtransactions. I mean, mobile's killing it. That's why Konami and Capcom, companies like that, are seriously investing in mobile now because there's so much money being generated. It's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
That Pacino machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, let me ask you this, and this is a piece of news that actually just hit today. Do you guys consider No Man's Sky an indie?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Well, the IP is not owned by Sony.
But
Yeah,
but it's like Ori. They're putting money into it.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're treating it as if it's their own first party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you guys saw today that has been officially delayed.
Ah, yes. I gotta wait another month,
Yeah.
2 months.
2 months. August 9th.
Yes, to explore space.
Anybody,
I'm actually looking forward to that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Who's getting it?
Not me.
I don't know yet. I'm definitely still intrigued by it. I definitely still want to see what it turns out to be. I'm not as bold as some as to just call it an instant flop because, again, I don't have a crystal ball.
By the way, that game, which Nels just reminded me of in the chat room, that game's also on PC. It's still coming to PC simultaneously. That's why I kind of asked if it was still considered indie.
That's not simultaneously.
I thought it was.
No.
Are you sure?
I don't even think they're working on the PC version at this point. They're just working on the PS4 version. It's coming to PC. They've announced it's coming, but it's not going to be day and date with the PS4.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I stand corrected. I thought that it was, because it says the game is scheduled to be released worldwide in August 2016 for PlayStation 4 and Microsoft Windows.
Mm.
Now, and you may be right. I'm going to try to take a look and see. Just because they won't talk about the PC version on the PlayStation blog, which is where everybody's talked about it, but on their website, their official website, they've kind of made it sound like it was.
Yeah, maybe you're right, because there was like a really badass PC collector's edition. I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
That was dated for this.
And just let me show you this. This is on their official site. When it was still June 21st, on PS4 it's available digitally on PSN, and they say on PC you can get it through. So they were advertising it as a simultaneous launch, and that's the only reason that I said that. They may stagger it. I was looking to see if there was any hint of that, but that's the only reason that I said that it was simultaneous launch.
It is, yeah. Steam was also dated for June 21st, so.
Okay, so I'm imagining both. That's all going to be August 9. So, that's why I said, does it still make it an indie? Definitely, Sony's pumping money into it, just like they did with Street Fighter V.
B-Money will be happy
Explain
about
to
this.
me what this game is even about, because I still don't see it. I just don't get it. Tell me what's it about.
It's quintillion procedurally generated planets that you can explore.
The final frontier.
It's Minecraft in space.
Yeah.
It is Minecraft in space. That's actually, you know what, Frankie? That's
but I don't
the
think you have
best way
to
to
build
describe it.
anything. You explore.
You can explore, but there's an economy. There's trading. You can actually play as a pirate. You can play as an explorer. I think there's like different ways to play the game.
Yeah. And Mama, if you find like a planet that no one else has inhabited, you can name it like Classy Gamer Girls.
Really?
Yeah. Name all the animals.
The true Amazon
sold
women
Mama.
on the moon planet.
Mama's like, I'm sold. I'm going to name it Classic Gamer Girls. Planet Mamacita.
Planet Mamacita. All the ships are coming there.
Yeah.
I would
Zero
visit it.
interest. Zero interest.
I
Zero.
I don't. My issue is this: the game sounds too good to be true.
It's very ambitious. I mean, without a doubt.
It is, and so I don't care about the delay if it makes the game better. Like these people that go crazy over delays, it's ridiculous. You know, if you delay the game to make it better, that's the right call. So
I mean, I would rather the game be delayed than shipped broken.
You know? I mean, it sounds like an ambitious game, and I hope that they pull it off. You know.
I just wonder if it's going to be a big seller. I mean, it just doesn't seem like there's as much. Like there was hype for it 2 years ago. I have not seen the same hype for it recently.
Well, it's because it's been delayed.
Right. You know.
Yeah.
That's been my big problem with it too. Like this game has been announced and shown at like so many shows now.
Yeah.
At the time it was announced, you know, we were all in that, whoa, this looks really cool, I want to play this, but now that you've learned more details, you've had time to think about, well, what am I actually going to do with this game?
Right.
You know, the longer like that's set in, I'm like, oh.
That's kind of where I'm at with Mighty Number 9. I was like,
well,
I don't care anymore.
I was
coming out the
just
same
going
day?
to bring that up. No, not anymore. I was just about to bring up what world do we live in that Mighty Number 9 is going to launch before No Man's Sky.
You know what, Mike? I wouldn't bet on that. I see a delay in the future.
It'll be like that day, like no stores will get any copies. They'll be like, what's up? They'll be like, oh, one last thing. The factory, the shipment didn't quite make it.
You heard it here first.
The truck broke down on the highway. I mean,
Mighty Number 9 is just like
it's gonna get delayed.
It's crazy, man. That's like the last Guardian of indie games.
Which is crazy. So there was actually Last Guardian. There was an article about that this week.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that is on track.
Yeah.
There will come hell or high water. That's coming out in 2016.
The last thing I want to say about this No Man's Sky thing is now that it's out of June 21st, I'll probably, to B Money's rejoicements, pick up the Technomancer, so at least there's that.
And that game looks interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was on board until I saw that Maximum Games is going to have some kind of hand in it, and they're like the kiss of death, so my interest level just...
The kiss of death.
Oh, God, yeah, dude. Look at Lichtenstein Battle Mage on Xbox.
Oh, God.
Look at
it on
Alakine's gun.
That's why I'm laughing.
Hey, let me ask you guys a question. What do you think is going on with Cuphead?
Good question.
Are they working on multiplayer component for that?
No. Well, okay. So the story that I had heard, and some of this has come from the developer actually talking about it on my favorite forum. But since
what favorite forum is that, Mike?
What is this?
What is this forum you speak of?
It's I don't have a beeping button to bleep it out, but let's just say it rhymes with
Does it rhyme
giraffe.
with? What'd you say?
Rhymes with giraffe.
Giraffe.
So, according to the developer, it was originally designed as a boss rush game, only bosses.
Mm-hmm.
When Microsoft got involved and brought it in as a console exclusive to them, they started pouring more money into the game.
Mm-hmm.
So the developer decided, because they wanted to expand on the game, they were going to add some standard side-scrolling levels to the game. So that has added some of the development time to it. I'm going to try to see real quick while we're talking if I can, without going to Trio Giraffe, I want to see if I can corroborate that with what they're actually saying. But that was the word that they had given, was their Studio MDHR.
Eric, Mike's got to go to GAF and get into like a heated discussion with someone.
My account is still active there. I don't know how.
I don't even know what you're talking about. I've never been on this website, and I never want to go there.
You never want to go there. You really don't.
I've never been
Never
on
wanna
there.
go. I so badly want to create my own forum. I wish if anything I had saved, if I could have resurrected any piece of Next Level Gaming from that era, would be my old forums.
Call it NAF.
So, basically, it's not on their site or anything, but that was what they had. Well, here, no, actually, this is what they have added to this is play as Cuphead or Mugman in single player or co-op. And here's where they added it. As you traverse strange worlds, acquire new weapons, learn super powerful moves, and discover hidden secrets. So they've gone from it just being a boss battle game to now they're going to add some traditional side-scrolling to it, and that's what some of the development time has added to it. I do
It's
remember.
kind of what I was thinking, but I do hear also that it's a pretty difficult game.
Yeah. My God, it looks great though.
It looks amazing.
Yeah.
It looks amazing.
That reminded me of that really one of those like this. Hold on, this picture right here, this scene.
It's gonna be like cartoon Dark Souls.
Yeah.
That's right up your alley, man.
You
So
run
you
over
know-
with your car.
Yeah. So you see, like Dark Souls?
I don't want to know. I hope it's not like Dark Souls.
No, I don't.
I like Dark Souls, but I don't want to play another Dark Souls-like game.
But you see this image, right? With the. So how many of you who are as close to old as me ever saw Twilight Zone the movie?
Oh yeah.
Does that not give you that vibe from that scene?
Yes. The kid with the powers.
Yes, and he
Yeah.
puts his sister into the cartoon.
Yeah, they're all like, yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That gave me
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
that freaked me out, which is
Me too, man. It was like
Yeah.
a night that was like, oh, that's horrible.
yeah. That's what this game reminded me of, like right off the bat.
Mhm.
So, look, this has also been a game that has been, I guess, in development for what, 2 years now?
Yeah, see, B Money just confirmed. He said it is very difficult. He said he played it last year and could not beat the boss with multiple tries.
Wow.
I heard even Phil said to them, you guys might want to think about toning it down a bit. You know? So, yeah.
So yeah, yeah, Nell. I know Nels lives on Neo Giraffe. He said I know he's there. So, anyway,
Oh, Frankie, you're making me hungry, man.
what do you? Oh, the chicken nuggets.
He said a cheeseburger.
Oh, he's got a cheeseburger.
Yeah, cheeseburger.
Damn.
is great.
Oh, Jesus.
I did buy some frozen burritos. I'm gonna have one afterwards.
Frozen burritos. Those
Have we
actually
heard
pretty good.
anything?
They are.
Have we heard anything on Horizon Zero Dawn?
Other than
No.
being delayed, no.
No, I don't.
Was the delay confirmed? Because I
No.
think, no, it hasn't been
No,
confirmed.
it was
And they just-
speculation, but
Yeah.
Was that supposed to
Insider
come out this
information.
year? Supposed to come
yeah,
out this year?
possible, yeah.
No, see, I wasn't.
Sources say.
Did they ever give an actual date? I mean, did they ever actually say 2016?
No, but there was just a recent image where they have like a side of a building with a big image of the big T-Rex dinosaur looking thing on it. So again, I don't know, take that for what it is, but I mean, if you're gonna delay a game, you're not gonna really start kind of pushing advertisement for it like that.
Well, yeah, that's true. Then again, they pushed up GT Sport.
Gran Turismo, yeah.
They dropped the beta, which was supposed to be a summertime beta, and they actually have put a real date on that for this year. So it could be because they're trying to fill a void that they're going to end up with. Because Last Guardian alone can't be what you go into the holiday with. So
Yeah, but they'll go in there with the new Call of Duty bundle and God knows what else.
they're going to go in with Call of Duty Modern Warfare and which includes Infinite Warfare.
And I think they're going to snag Titanfall.
Think so?
Yeah, I think
they're-
so.
That's
They're
bold.
gonna- That's
I think they
that's
do.
a bold move, Cotton.
It's a bold
Right.
strategy, Cotton.
I think they do.
Boy, that would be something.
You heard it here first, NLG.
Mountain Dew picked him up, so
Don't put that voodoo on me.
Source.
Don't put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
Don't you put that evil on us.
Oh man,
No,
I don't
I
know,
was-
man.
I was just saying to be money in the chat. I hope that they actually delay Horizon just for the fact that the fall is already crowded.
yes,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah. Just let that be like an awesome beginning of the year game.
Yeah, like what is Detroit supposed to be coming out?
Oh God.
Oh,
Oh wow.
wow.
Is that this
I
fall
forgot
or
about
no?
I don't know. They never gave. I haven't seen anything on that since they announced
Not
it.
since they announced it.
Yeah, I thought for some reason I thought maybe it was coming out this year.
You'll probably see that at E3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you'll see more on that at E3. I think you'll get release date for Horizon at E3. I think they have to.
Mm-hmm.
I hope so. I really hope so. Waiting for that one.
That's like the one thing that's been bugging me the most this gen is like we're seeing a lot of these games at multiple E3s now.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, here, we're announcing it this year. Here's the progress of it next year. It's coming out the year after that. Like, come on.
I know.
Exactly.
Frankie, that's funny you mentioned that because I had this conversation, same conversation this earlier in the week with a buddy of mine who stopped watching E3 because of this. He's like, I'm tired of it. He's like, it's the same shit every year. They announce a game that's not ready, and then the next year you see it, and it's still not ready.
But it's coming a year later before
Yeah.
the next E3, so...
I give it to Bethesda. Announce Fallout 4
I was just
and with a
about to say
release
that.
date. I give it to them.
Yeah.
They're going to announce Skyrim Remastered.
Give me Elder Scrolls. Elder Scrolls.
All these games take the Suicide Squad approach.
Yeah, why don't we? This has been the craziest remaster generation ever.
But they make money.
They've been holding over until the real next-gen consoles get here.
Right.
That's wow.
That's it.
Yeah.
So Brent, who I don't know if Brent's still in the room. I think he
He's
may have.
probably driving home.
He asked a question at the very beginning of the chat room, and it's unfortunately it's sort of scrolled by. But he
Mike, your
said,
chat room's on fire, by the way, man.
"I'm loving it, man.
B-Money's holding it down, the chat room.
Yeah, he is. B Money,
Go
Nelson.
be money. Go be money.
Yeah. Big shout out to B-Money.
One
Love
day
having
you're
him
gonna
as
have
a
to tell
guest.
me. Is it just say yes or no? Is it Nel Sconey?
I think it's Nel Sconey.
Okay. You guys in the chat room, man. This is what I love. This is, we get to. I say it every week. I don't get a chance to type in there as much, but you guys see me looking over on my other screen. I am always. Thank you. All right, cool. I am always keeping an eye on that chat room to see what's going on in there, and I just love the fact that they're in there talking games. They're in there, they're talking parallel to us. And it's a lot of what drives me. It's a lot of what drives. It's the reason. It's the reason that this podcast exists. It's for us, who I think are creating our own community, and it's for these guys. Please don't die on my podcast, Frankie. Please don't die. I couldn't have that on my conscience.
I know CPR.
You'd probably get a lot of views.
Okay.
Game.
Right. Gamer dies on the NLG podcast. All of a sudden, you have 5,000 subscribers and 4 million views. And by the way, De Niro asks, is the Crackdown beta still coming in the summer? It's actually not according to them, it's not a beta. It's actually the multiplayer component of the game. Because if you guys remember, with Crackdown 3, only the Quackdown.
I heard that too.
Quackdown.
Quackdown's going to be announced at E3.
Quackdown, right.
It's going to be a launch title for
Uncharted.
Scorpio.
Uncharted 5, Quackdown.
Hardered.
Last week, man, when I slipped and said that, you jumped. That was great. I got that.
I was like, yes.
Yeah, thanks. I love how you revel in my my inability to speak. So, Crackdown is coming in 2 parts because the multiplayer side only is what's using Cloud Gen and the whole cloud destruction piece. The single player mode is supposed to be like your standard Crackdown style, the standard Crackdown game we've got in the last 2 gens. Or I'm sorry, the last gen, because they were both the last 2 games I meant. But as far as I know, they haven't announced anything other than summer, so I'm hoping that the answer is yes, it's still coming. I'm imagining this E3, as Frankie has pointed out, we'll get an update on that game. Like we get an update on every other game that's supposed to be out. We could, I guess, we are a couple weeks away, and our next podcast actually is going to be kind of a special one with myself and Tony Polanco from the Coalition and the Throwdown Podcast as we're going to do an E3 past, present, and future. He goes to E3 as press. You guys know I've been to E3s from 1999 to 2007 as press.
Since 1910.
Yeah, thanks. 1930. 1930s, I'll have you know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna talk to Spacebox. It's Spacebox. I'm gonna talk about my experiences. Where E3 was 10 years ago. He's gonna talk about E3, what it is. As he's gone through it, and then we're gonna try to talk about where we both think it's going. So, since we're not gonna have much time before E3, since we're talking about all this stuff that they're going to announce, well, yeah, I still believe it is, or at least in its current state, it's on life support.
Or it could be changing. It could be evolving. Now, they're doing this fan event now.
PAX E3 is basically what it's coming to.
Yeah.
E3 in space, Madzu says.
E3 in space.
Call of Duty E3. That's the next Call of Duty game. They're going to E3. They're going to battle it out in the LA Coliseum. Or the LA Convention Center. All right, so we talk about, and this will kind of be how we wrap up, and then I want to talk about backlog.
Oh my God, Diego said 1930s E3. Last Guardian was announced.
Oh, good Lord! So what new stuff are we going to see at E3? Obviously, we know what's been kind of announced already.
We're going to see new hardware.
We're going to see new. All right, so we're going to see new hardware. What new games? I mean, we know Titanfall, so we know all the stuff we think EA is going to bring because they kind of said it. Titanfall 2, new Star Wars,
Crash Bandicoot.
Right. Well, you think we're going to get a Crash?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
Yes. Yeah, it's happening.
Is it going to be an exclusive game? And the reason I ask. They have, Sony knows this, but Activision still owns the IP.
It will be exclusive.
Activision is not a company that does exclusive games.
Well, money had it.
I think it. Has there been a crash? Has there been a crash on an Xbox console? There has.
Has there?
I believe so.
Hold on.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I know this
yes.
because Frankie showed it to me. Hold on, he's going to get it. I was pretty sure that there was a Crash Bandicoot on Xbox.
There you go.
That's right. It was on the 360. There you go.
Yes.
All right.
There's more than this. There's also Mind Over Mutant, I think it is.
I think Sony throws money at it.
I don't think they care. Honestly, I don't know that they care as long as they get it. I think I don't know that. I mean, they've already got Destiny marketing, so maybe that's an incentive. But
Call of Duty marketing too.
Call of Duty marketing. So maybe
Titanfall's coming.
Maybe it's part of their their newfound love relationship. I don't know. I think if it's coming, I think it's a multi-plat. I think Activision, even though they do marketing, I think they would market it for PlayStation, but I think it would be a multi-plat.
I think if it's happening, chances are there's a Naughty Dog team that's going to do it. It's going to be a Sony thing. That's.
If Naughty Dog does it,
I think it's Mike, I think, without spoiling anything, I think what Frankie's saying is probably going to happen.
Well, I don't know.
You know what I mean?
Crash Bandicoot Wrath of Cortex was done by Traveler's
He's
Tales.
an insider, okay? He knows.
He goes to NAF.
No, I don't know. We'll see. I would be. I go to NAF. I go to Giraffe. I don't know. I like I said. It's while yes, they've done all the marketing for Activision. Now and okay, so this could be different. This could be. I remember back in the day, Activision would tell me flat out that any game they ever did for public consumption would always be multi-plat. They were not a developer that did exclusive games. Whether or not this is different, whether or not we're getting it, who knows?
That was 50 years ago, Mike.
Yes.
Yeah, that was back in the 30s.
When they were building airplanes for the army.
You're not as funny as John. I'm just letting you know.
Well, John was a little.
John was a little buzzed when
John was a little like, he said you had varicose veins on your.
Yes. Yes.
I hope we hear some news about God of War 4.
That's coming.
That I heard is coming.
That is coming.
But I just hope we hear
something about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause
I'm honestly hoping that
We'll see Fable.
You will not see Fable.
You will, yeah.
Somebody, Nels Coney said Sucker Punch possibly do it. And remember, there was that rumor Sucker
The
Punch
Spider-Man, yeah.
Spider-Man game.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
So.
I think that's another smoke fire scenario too, because you've been hearing a lot about that.
The other thing too is, for all we know, Activision may have sold Crash back to Sony. That is a possibility.
Ooh,
That
that's
is
true.
true.
That's a
That's
good point,
possible.
Frankie.
Now that would be the way that they would do it.
I don't know, and that Easter egg in Uncharted.
Spoiler.
Well, no, I didn't say what. I didn't say what it was or where it was.
That's not an Easter egg. It's not an Easter
But
egg.
yeah, you can't really call it an Easter egg. You're right.
No, it's not. You don't find it. It finds you.
right.
That was there. That's there on
Soviet
purpose.
Russia, Easter egg finds you.
That's there on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I understand. I totally understand. I get that. So, but they have said. I mean, they've said, look, Activision owns the IP. So.
Well, of course they would say that.
Mm-hmm.
It could happen. I'm not saying it's not happening. I'm saying it's more likely that that if it came from Activision and it came from an Activision developer, like not, but one of their hired developers, like Traveler's Tales. If it comes from Traveler's Tales, it's multiplat. If somehow Naughty Dog gets involved in this, and a lot of people in the chat room are saying there's no way, because I think Naughty Dog's going to move on to Last of Us 2. I think that we're going to hear about. But I don't know that people are I don't know that they're going to, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Daenerys saying a new Prince of Persia would be nice.
I'm
That would be.
volleying for Prey 2 to resurface.
See,
Is that a rumor going around
another
that's going to
one.
happen?
That's a rumor. But every time
Yeah.
that rumor comes up, Pete Hines says no.
Mm-hmm.
But the last time that rumor came up, Pete Hines didn't say a word.
Yeah.
And-
Mike, you know they're going to have a big announcement. I mean, they've already. I mean, we know Skyrim's going to be announced. We know about Dishonored 2.
Yeah.
There's something
And,
else big coming.
For them to
Hey.
do their own.
There's a new Splinter Cell in the ether.
And there's a rumor of a Quake game.
Oh, yeah, there is.
I'm down for a new Quake.
Apparently they put out advertisements for hiring for developers for a new game, and people suspect it's Quake. Over at what's it called?
Yeah.
Id,
Red
yeah.
Dead.
But here's something interesting for you Prey 2 conspiracy theorists. Prey2.com goes to this Facebook page that says the link you follow may have expired, or the page may only be visible to an audience you're not in. And if you notice up here, so it's possible.
Interesting.
How much of a niche game is that, though? I mean, I played Prey. I enjoyed it, but I mean, I don't remember that being a hot seller.
Yeah, but when like that Prey 2 that was originally going to be a thing was shown, man, that thing got a lot of buzz.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember. It would be, is Human Head even still around?
That's a good looking question.
Because that's who was originally doing it.
Well, supposedly now it's Arcane.
Yeah, see,
They are
I
still around. So they did Dungeon Defenders 2.
enjoyed Prey. I would like to see something else in that universe.
I did too. I enjoyed it. I thought it was different. I thought it was, it was something a little unique.
Yeah.
That'd be a cool backwards compatible game.
That would be.
Yeah.
Hey, Diego said Rockstar's Asian game gets a trailer.
I said that to someone the other day and I got laughed at.
Wasn't that at E3 2006?
Yeah, sounds
Hey,
right.
if Last Guardian can come back, anything can.
That's true.
Right.
That's true.
Fable Legends is coming back.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think Fable's not done.
I didn't say Fable was done. I just don't think they're. Who would do it?
It doesn't make sense to me for them to have as much work into that game as they have. Did you ever get around to playing the? I'm just gonna assume you could talk about it now because it doesn't exist anymore. I'm gonna pretend.
You know what? Screw it. I'm not under any.
Mike, you're not under NDA.
I'm gonna pretend that it doesn't exist.
I heard
Was that game fun?
I loved it. I loved playing it. Now it was rough at the beginning because they were still putting the graphics and stuff in.
Phantasy Star
Online. That's exactly what it was. It was 4-on-1, but it wasn't. So here's the cool part about what it was. It wasn't 4-on-1 like Evolve. It was 4-on-1.
So it was fun.
You're right. So here's how cool this was.
Evolve was ambitious.
Evolve was ambitious. It very much was.
Maps were too big.
Yeah, and we talked about. So you must have been listening to the podcast on Wednesday because that's the stuff we were talking about.
Yeah.
So on the hero end, Fable Legends was a third-person action-adventure hack and slash. On the villain end, the fourth person you went up against, it was an RTS. So the villain would see an overhead map of the entire arena or the level. It wasn't an arena. It was level-based. And you would strategically put the barriers in place for the heroes, whether it be monsters, whether it be fences, whether it be, and you can you could click on an area and lob a grenade down at the heroes that they would have to get out of the way from, or you can have a tree enemy come up out of the ground and attack the group. So the action part was always on the heroes, but if you were playing the villain, you were playing a strategy game. You were playing almost a whole separate experience. So depending on the way you wanted to play it, you could go either way. And I thought that was really cool, and it was very unique. I, to this day, and I know people, again, have disagreed with me and have basically said, well, they put so much money into it they couldn't support it, and why would you release a game that you couldn't support monetarily? I still maintain that they should have put this in open beta. They should have let the people who didn't understand what this game was get a look at it. And you know what? If they looked at the hours played or they looked at the microtransactions and they saw that it wasn't worthwhile, then shut it down. I get it. But give the game a chance to get people other than me who couldn't talk about it to look at it. Because I think people focused on the fact that, well, it's not a mainline Fable. No, it wasn't. But because of what they were doing with it, it was an experience that I think people could use, and they could use that to build Fable 4.
Yeah, and it still had the Fable lore and the Fable charm. It still had all of that.
Bright Lodge, and
it's hard for me to still talk about it, so I'm just listening.
I know. You see, you were in that beta. You were in that beta too.
I was in that beta almost 2 years.
Yep, you were in it before I was in it. Like I got in it later.
From the beginning.
And I remember I played it the last day it was open, and I was upset. I mean, I know you are. You still are. But your experience, does it match what I'm saying?
Yes. I was with. I mean, it was rough. It was extremely rough in the beginning. It was. I mean, I remember how slow, just releasing my powers. Like, oh my God, this is just so slow and clunky. And I watched that game grow and grow and grow. And how the world evolved, and they would put in the characters and the story. So I was so looking forward to play Fable Legends. Now, mind you, Fable Legends still didn't replace my desire for Fable 4.
Certainly,
I still wanted that single player experience, but I felt like this would tie me over, and I invested a lot of time into that Fable Legends beta. So to see that that go away, it's just really extremely disheartening.
And you saw a point, Mama, where it was almost like they flipped a switch, and all of a sudden the graphical component, which they pumped a lot of money into, just automatically just went boom.
It skyrocketed.
And it just turned into this beautiful looking game.
Yes, it did.
And it wasn't until the very, very end when they even had the DirectX 12 coding in there. So even back before that, it was turning into this gorgeous looking game, and it was they started to put the stories in, and they started to put some of
Yes, and playing with your teammates and choosing your character and what character, what powers and abilities that you had and what did what. It was just I thought the concept of what they were doing with Fable Legends just truly, I just feel like it would have worked. But somebody decided that,
and it was free to play, so why not give people a chance to free to play it? You're going to shut them down, and they knew they were going to shut them down. Like, this was the story behind this. It wasn't like they just walked into Lionhead one day and said, "Okay, you guys are closed."
Yeah.
It was a couple of months in the works. So while you're trying to figure that out, why not open the game up and say, "All right, well, let's see if all of this hard work pays off." It may not have. It may have crashed and burned, but we don't know.
That makes zero sense to me. I don't. That's.
Yeah. We just don't know.
Yeah, it's like at that point, what did you have to lose?
Exactly. Yeah. Mamacita and I think we share the same kind of emotional pullout, from that, fallout from that being, scuttled like that. Especially since we were getting so involved in that game.
Yes, the feedback and every update, and that was just my baby, watching my baby grow and blossom, and then just say, "I'm sorry, but we're gonna put your baby in the trash can now." I mean, it's just that's just crazy. I'm sorry, that analogy did not work. I'm sorry.
That took a turn.
That was such a bad analogy.
Oh my God.
That took a turn.
Oh yeah, that
Oh,
was
wow.
a good analogy.
Okay. That whole Lionhead debacle thing was just a debacle from
Well, they spent like what, $75 million?
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever that number. And look, that was all part of Don Matrick's games as a service thing, which I know a lot of people kind of have pissed on as far as what it games as a service. How's it? If you look at the industry of software, he wasn't off of his rocker looking at that, because I can tell you as an IT engineer, I can tell you how many pieces of software now have gone to software as a service on the like application side.
That's where everything's going now.
It is. So it wasn't a bad idea. The problem is that gamers are so slow to adapt to anything new that I just think people didn't understand what this game was, and so their immediate thought was, well, it's not mainline Fable, so I'm immediately going to dislike it. And I don't think that was fair. It wasn't fair to the developers. It wasn't fair to the I don't think it was fair to the game. And I think Mama and I are on the same page of that. It wasn't fair.
What did they do? Did they conduct focus groups and decide that gamers weren't going to like this game? I mean, how did they? I don't understand. What did they wage that on? What did they look at and say this game isn't going to be successful? What was the determining factor? I mean,
I don't know, because the beta crowd was very vibrant and very
extremely
busy.
Vibrant. I never had an issue going on connecting with anyone or finding a game to play with anybody, not one time.
Yeah, so I don't understand. I don't understand, and I don't know what. I don't know if maybe they got to a point to where they felt like they weren't going to make their return on investment, because that's look, this is still it's still a business, and you people get asked why is there no Crash Bandicoot, why is there no Voodoo Vince, or all these nostalgic games that everybody gets right. They hit these guys. With these games, and you go, well, that's all great, but they're not going to sell. So, all right, we have hit the 1 o'clock hour, and I think I want to wrap this up because it looks like everybody's falling asleep. So, very, very quickly, we'll go now. We'll go ladies first, and then on down.
Uh-oh.
So usually I say, what are you playing? So give me one game that you're playing right now, and then tell me Tell me a game or two in your backlog you need to get to.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm still playing. I'm still playing the Division. I just played Division a couple of days ago. 'Cause I'm extremely behind. I really haven't been gaming the past couple of weeks, so I had to kind of catch up on some things. But the Division, Uncharted 3, uh, Mad Max is my backlog. Oh my gosh.
I was excited. I was like, I love that game.
I know. It's the most underrated game. One of the most underrated. So yeah, Uncharted 3 and Mad Max is like my immediate backlog right now, and I had to. Yeah, that's pretty much it for me right now. My backlog is, I think I have about 100 games.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Between the 360, PS3, there are games that I'm still plan to finish on the PS3. Okay, so and the 360. So yeah, my backlog is like maybe 100 games. I won't have time to name all of them.
Yeah, me too,
And
Mama.
I've still got to get through the Batman. I've got to play. I've got to play the entire series. So yeah.
And they're not stopping. There's more coming.
There's more. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Eric. What are
Yes,
you playing?
sir.
Give me a game you're playing, and give me however many games you want in your backlog.
Finally, after I was done with Uncharted, I said, you know what? I had stopped. I kept getting distracted and taken away from Sunset, and that wasn't a game I wanted to rush through anyway. So I'm finally saying, you know what? That's going to be the game that I'm putting all my focus into. Finishing all the DLC, trying to do as many of the collectibles as I can. So Sunset has been my main focus. But I got to get back to Ratchet and Clank. Got derailed from that. At some point, I'm going to start on Dark Souls 3. Still have Bloodborne to finish. And oddly enough, Dead Rising 3. Never started it, but I have that. Start rocking on that.
I'm sorry, Dead Rising 3, like launch game.
Yeah.
Dead Rising? Wow.
Oh yeah, it's in my backlog too, Eric.
Yeah.
So.
You know what, Eric?
And Mad Max.
Eric, Dead Rising 1 and 9.
If you ever need co-op help with that game to get through your story, call me. Because I will. I played that game. I honestly played that game 4 times.
Wow.
Yes, because there's not to spoil anything, but there's different endings depending on what you do.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, and that's just a few. Like Mama said, man, my backlog goes back to 360, PS3.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Awesome. All right, Frankie.
Right now I'm just enjoying Battleborn. I actually decided I'm gonna start doing a weekly stream with some friends. So.
Yay.
I have it on both. I bought that one on both consoles because it's a great game. So I want to play a lot of it.
I'll at some point when it's down to $5, I'll get it.
It won't take too long. So yeah. Otherwise, backlog, like immediate backlog. I'm somewhere in the middle of Ratchet and Clank. I need to get back to Dark Souls 3.
Nobody needs to get back to Dark Souls.
Everyone needs to play Dark Souls 3. Just get good, man. You'll enjoy it so much more.
Jesus.
Oh man, I want to slap whoever came up with that phrase. Real quick, Frankie, Short Pause Gaming.
Yes, I do a podcast with the dude in the chat, a couple other guys over at www.shortpause.com. We do reviews. There's a YouTube channel for the site. We all have our own YouTube channels. We're always streaming stuff. So for me, like I said, I'm going to start doing a weekly Battleborn stream because more people need to be paying attention to Battleborn because it's awesome.
Well, as much as we've been playing together, and you coming on here and now Brent saying he's going to come on here when he gets the schedule changed and me getting on there. We're becoming good sister sites.
It's fun. I love it. Like the whole Halo thing, especially, man. Man, I was having just like the worst day. I got home. I'm like, all right, well, infection. So like. My Xbox Gold expired that day, so like I tried to. I've had a code for 2 months now, to renew for a year, and for whatever reason I couldn't enter the code to renew it back then. So I had to wait for it to expire, and then apparently I had to wait for the exact hour and the day that it would expire. So I get home just like, I just want to renew Gold. I just want to play Halo. Why? So finally get in there, man. That was just a blast. So worth it.
Young Savage, jumping in the podcast at the end, jumping in the chat room at the end of the podcast again. Oh man! All right, so and by the way, links are all at the bottom. Mamacita, real quick, Classic Gamer Gals, please. I didn't mean to miss that.
What about Enrique?
I'm getting there, but Mamacita went first, and I skipped over her Classic Gamer Gals marketing.
Okay, youtube.com/Classic Gamer Gals 2015. Mamacita, keep it classy.
Nice. And by the way, these links are all down in the description.
How's your staycation going?
It's gonna get really great when I get off this podcast.
All right.
Wow.
All right.
Oh, you did like that.
Wow.
Light a candle.
All right. Enrique, Mecca Lecca Hi, Becca, Tiny Ho, Castellanos. Give it to us, brother. What are you playing and what's in your backlog?
I am playing Dark Souls 3.
Yes.
Yep. I just got back to that. I'm playing Valkyrie Chronicles Remastered. I'm playing Sunset Overdrive. Jeez, backlogged. Oh my goodness.
Start with like the NES.
Yeah, right. I'm just I got I got a lot of stuff to play. That's all I gotta say. Just a lot of stuff.
All right.
Yeah.
Everything.
Right.
Just say everything.
Everything. Right. Yeah. Everything. Yeah. Everything.
Except Call of Duty.
Except for Call of Duty, because Call of Duty's booty to me, so I don't play it.
Yeah. All right. Basement Radio Arcade.
Yeah, the Basement Radio Arcade podcast. So we air every Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My co-host Eric Jackson's here. My other co-host Al Alcoholicost. He joins us every Tuesday nights as well.
By the way, if I didn't tell you, remind him to unblock me, please.
Yes, I will remind him.
Okay.
Why are you blocked?
Yeah, because we got in some stupid argument like about Quantum Break one day. Him, me, and Gabriel, Ashley, and I mean I got over it real quick, but apparently he blocked me in anger. So.
You got okay.
I do think I told him to. I do think I said grow up.
Oh boy.
But other than that,
Misunderstandings on Twitter. So.
Yeah.
So we go live every Tuesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we just have fun, shoot the shit. Oops, I cussed. Sorry, Mike.
We almost made it out.
I know, I did.
Almost.
Yeah, we shoot the stuff and just talk video games. We have a good time,
Yeah, it's a great podcast. I always say I'm proud of what you guys. I'm proud of how you've grown up and branched out on your own, Enrique.
Well, thank you.
I am. I'm seriously proud of you, brother.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that. No,
Great job. Even though John has somehow claimed you as his sister.
Well, I was going to say also.
I don't have the heart.
Gamescast.
Yeah, I don't have the heart to tell him that you came from NLG, but that's all right.
Well, I was going to say also check out our sister podcast, Super Deformed Gamescast, which goes live Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And they actually had House Park.
That was an awesome show.
That was that House Park interview was awesome.
Now, John's good people. John,
yeah,
I love John. Even though he makes my life miserable and gives me a hard time.
Yeah,
I love him.
Yeah, and then they had Marcel from CryEngine on last night too. And that was actually a good podcast too. They had actually Rain Out Thor 19 joined. They had Shinobi on too, so that was a really good podcast last night too.
Excellent. All right, so real quick, I just finished Uncharted 4, so I've got to figure out what I'm going back to. Actually, no, I'm going to be starting Overwatch, which I haven't had a chance to play yet, but I got thanks to Jeff Bartram. So I'm going to be doing that and doing some of that for doing some streaming for the NLG channel, and my backlog is just insane. I mean, right now it's going to be, I got to play Blues and Bullets Episode 2, I got to play King's Quest Episode 2, I've got just a ton of stuff. I know what you want me to say, Frankie.
No,
I know
I'm
you
just
would.
disappointed that you haven't played episode 2
I know. Well,
Dark
you know when
Souls
I got
3.
because someone gave me Dark Souls 3 to play, and then I died and killed myself. And what you're seeing here now is a ghost because I have killed myself in frustration. So yes, I know.
Uh-huh.
Maybe that's what I'm gonna because I know it's short. So maybe that's the next thing I'm gonna go to. All right. So thank you guys so much once again. Like I said, it's always great that even though I've pretty much gone solo here as far as running the podcast and the channel. I always have great people to join me on Friday nights, and I love you guys. You guys know that. Every one of you is always open invitation. You don't even have to wait for me to ask. As Enrique was. Do you need another guest Friday night? You need another guest?
It was that
Okay.
itch, Mike. It was that itch, man.
I hear you, and you guys, none of you even have to ask. You just go, hey, shoot me the link. I'm coming on, and that's like it's like mi casa, su casa. You know where the drinks are. You know where the refrigerator is.
Oh,
Frozen
thanks.
burritos.
Frozen burritos for everyone. Chat room, guys. In all seriousness, you guys make what we do fun, and I've just again enjoyed watching you guys in there talking games, keeping it real, keeping it great. This is what it's all about. Real talk from real gamers, and this is what we love. So I know a bunch of people have jumped off because we're jumping off. So thank you guys all. Thank everybody who has listened live. Thank you all who are going to be listening later. Whoever you were that disliked us before we even started talking.
Sorry.
You could piss off. So, no. I'm sorry you have such bitterness in your life. That's all I can say. Anyway, for everyone else, like and subscribe. And if you've already done that, tell a friend. Have them like and subscribe. Like and subscribe to all of my friends down here at the bottom. All of your links are down below. Basement Radio Arcade and Classy Gamer Gals and Short Pause, my gamer friends. So, if that's it from everybody, and I know it is for Eric, who's ready to go to sleep. I don't blame you. Good night, everyone. Thank you guys again for a great podcast. To everyone, have a wonderful weekend. Everybody have a great extended weekend and a great Memorial Day on Monday. Have a wonderful week, and as always, play on, gamers.